My dear friends, there comes a moment in every awakened soul's journey when they realize something profound. The very light that illuminates their path also creates shadows that drive others away. Tonight, I want to share with you a truth that may shock you, comfort you, or perhaps both. Your solitude is not a punishment. It is a sacred appointment with destiny itself. You see, when consciousness awakens within you, when you begin to see through the veil of this three-dimensional world, something remarkable happens. You become like a lighthouse in a storm, magnificent, necessary, but standing gloriously alone. And just as ships navigate by the lighthouse's beam, people are drawn to your light, yet few dare to come close enough to truly know you. But let me tell you something that will shift your entire perspective. What the world calls loneliness, the universe calls preparation. What society labels as isolation, the divine recognizes as incubation. What your friends might see as sadness, God himself sees as sacred solitude, the necessary cocoon from which your true self emerges, transformed and magnificent. I have walked this path myself, my friends. I have sat in rooms full of people and felt completely alone. I have given lectures to thousands and returned home to silence. I have loved deeply and been misunderstood profoundly. And through it all, I discovered something extraordinary. The very consciousness that set me apart from others was the same consciousness that would eventually draw to me those who could truly see me, know me, and love me for exactly who I am. Let me paint you a picture from my own experience. When I first began to understand the true nature of reality, when I realized that imagination creates reality, and that we are all gods dreaming, we are men, I found myself in the most peculiar position. The very wisdom that set me free seemed to build invisible walls between myself and those I loved. My wife would look at me with confusion when I spoke of states of consciousness. My friends would change the subject when I mentioned the power of assumption. My family thought I had lost my mind when I declared that man is God individualized. The very truth that liberated me from the bondage of believing in external causation seemed to exile me from ordinary human connection. This is the divine paradox of awakening, my friends. The more conscious you become, the more selective the universe becomes about who can remain in your orbit. It's not cruelty, it's cosmic mathematics. Your frequency determines your reality, and as you rise, not everyone can match your vibration. But here's what I discovered in those early days of spiritual isolation. The universe was not punishing me for my awakening, it was protecting me. Every person who fell away, every relationship that dissolved, every friendship that faded, was making room for connections that could honor the truth of who I was becoming. You see, consciousness is like a tuning fork. When you strike it, it resonates at a specific frequency, and only instruments tuned to that same frequency can harmonize with it. As your consciousness expands, as you tune yourself to higher frequencies of truth, love, and understanding, you naturally begin to resonate only with those who can match your new vibration. But here's what nobody tells you about this sacred loneliness. And if you understand this one principle, everything changes forever. When you awaken to your true nature, you discover something extraordinary. You are no longer merely human, you are an energy alchemist. Every thought you think, every feeling you feel, every word you speak, carries the power to transform reality itself. But here's the challenge. Most people around you are still operating from the old paradigm, the world of effects rather than causes. Imagine yourself as a powerful generator of light and love. Those who come into your presence unconsciously plug into your energy field, drawing from your vitality without offering reciprocal exchange. This is not malicious on their part. They simply haven't awakened to their own power yet. They're still looking outside themselves for what can only be found within. I remember a student once asking me, "Neville, why do I feel so drained after spending time with certain people?" The answer is simple. You are giving from your abundance, but receiving only from their emptiness. The awakened soul requires energetic reciprocity, not just someone who takes from your light, but someone who brings their own candle to illuminate the darkness together. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this principle perfectly. Years ago, I had a dear friend who would call me whenever his life fell apart. He would pour out his troubles, seek my counsel, absorb my energy and optimism, then disappear until the next crisis. For months, I wondered why I felt so depleted after our conversations, why my own inner light seemed dimmer after trying to kindle his. Then one day, it struck me like lightning. I was trying to fill a vessel that had no bottom. He was not seeking transformation. He was seeking temporary relief. He was not interested in learning to fish. He simply wanted to be fed. And while compassion calls us to help others, wisdom calls us to discern between those who truly wish to grow and those who simply wish to consume. This is why many awakened souls find themselves naturally drawing boundaries, becoming more selective about where they invest their precious life force energy. It's not selfishness, it's self-preservation. It's not coldness, it's consciousness. You begin to understand that your energy is sacred, and it must be shared only with those who honor its sanctity. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, begins to filter your relationships through this new understanding. People who cannot match your energetic investment begin to fade from your life, not through conflict or drama, but through natural drift. They stop calling as frequently. They become too busy for deep conversations. They unconsciously create distance because on some level, they sense that the old dynamic is no longer available. And in this space, this sacred space created by the departure of energetic vampires, room is made for energetic equals. People who don't just take from your light but contribute their own. Souls who don't just seek your wisdom, but offer their own insights. Hearts that don't just receive your love, but reflect it back magnified. Here's a truth that might sting at first, but ultimately liberates. As you ascend in consciousness, you discover that very few people can actually help you anymore. Oh, they want to help. They offer advice. They share their opinions. But their help comes from the same level of consciousness that created your old problems in the first place. When you understand that you are the operant power in your life, that your imagination is God Himself, that every circumstance in your world is but a reflection of your inner states, what help could another person possibly offer you that isn't already contained within your own divine consciousness? This creates a beautiful but lonely responsibility. You become your own guru, your own healer, your own guide. Others see your transformation and want to know your secret. But when you tell them the truth, that they are gods pretending to be men, that their imagination creates their reality, they often cannot accept such radical responsibility for their lives. I recall a conversation I had with a colleague during my darkest period in Barbados. He meant well, this kind soul, when he suggested I simply accept my circumstances and make the best of things. He could not understand when I told him that acceptance of undesirable circumstances was the very thing that would perpetuate them, that what I needed was not resignation, but imagination, not submission but assumption of my desire fulfilled. But Neville, he protested, you must be realistic about your situation. And there it was, the gulf between consciousness operating from the level of effects and consciousness operating from the level of cause. He saw circumstances as causes and was trying to help me adjust to effects. I saw imagination as cause and was using it to change circumstances. This is the predicament of the awakened soul. You need help that operates from your level of understanding. But such help is rare indeed. Most people, even well-meaning people, even people who love you dearly, can only help you from their level of consciousness. And if their consciousness hasn't awakened to the truth that imagination creates reality, their help, however sincere, can actually hinder your progress by encouraging you to accept rather than transcend your current limitations. So you learn to go within. You learn to commune with the infinite intelligence that you are. You learn to seek counsel from the God that you are rather than from the confused human beings that others believe themselves to be. This makes you appear self-sufficient to others, perhaps even arrogant, but in truth, you have simply discovered the source of all wisdom residing within your own being. This divine self-reliance naturally creates distance between you and those who haven't yet discovered their own inner resources. They see you handling challenges with mysterious calm, navigating difficulties with unexplained confidence, manifesting solutions that seem to come from nowhere. They want to help, but they cannot fathom the level from which you're operating. And so, once again, The universe orchestrates your solitude, not as abandonment, but as preparation for connection with others who have also discovered the kingdom of heaven within themselves. Others who understand that the help you need can only come from the level of consciousness that recognizes you as the God of your own reality. Every awakened soul carries sacred wounds, not the ordinary hurts of everyday living, but the deep spiritual lacerations that come from seeing too clearly, feeling too deeply, loving too purely, in a world that celebrates surface and fears depth. These wounds are not accidents, my dear friends. They are initiations. Each betrayal, each disappointment, each moment when someone you trusted revealed they couldn't handle your light. These are not punishments, but preparations. The universe is carving out space within you for something greater. I learned this truth through my own dark nights of the soul, when Barbara left me, when I was imprisoned on Barbados, when I faced the seeming impossibility of my dreams. I thought I was being punished for my beliefs, but I was being prepared. Every wound was creating more room for love, more capacity for compassion, more strength for the mission that lay ahead. Let me tell you about the night I truly understood this principle. I was sitting alone in my small apartment in New York, having just received news that another close relationship had ended. The person I had loved and trusted had decided that my strange ideas about consciousness were too much for them to handle. I felt completely broken, questioning whether the price of awakening was worth the isolation it seemed to bring. In that moment of deepest despair, something extraordinary happened. I felt a presence, not external, but rising from within my own being. It was as if my higher self spoke to my wounded human self. Every heart that cannot hold your light is making room for one that can. Every person who cannot understand your truth is clearing space for those who will celebrate it. Every rejection is a redirection toward your true tribe. I realized then that my wounds were not evidence of my unworthiness, but proof of my standards. I was not being rejected because I was too little. I was being rejected because I was too much for those who had not yet expanded to match my consciousness. My intensity, my depth, my unwillingness to pretend that shallow things satisfied me. These were not flaws to be corrected, but gifts to be honored. Think about it this way. A diamond is created through immense pressure. Gold is refined through fire. The most beautiful flowers grow from the richest soil. Soil that has been broken down, decomposed, transformed. Your wounds are your soil, dear friend. They are the fertile ground from which your greatest gifts will grow. But here's the crucial understanding. Not everyone is equipped to witness your healing process. Not everyone can handle the rawness of transformation. Not everyone has the courage to sit with someone who is actively growing, changing, becoming. Some people need you to stay the same so they can feel comfortable with who they are. When you refuse to remain static, when you choose growth over comfort, evolution over familiarity, you will naturally outgrow certain relationships. This is not a failure of love. It's an evolution of love. You're learning to love yourself enough to honor your own healing process, even when it makes others uncomfortable. You're discovering that true love sometimes requires distance, that real compassion sometimes means letting people go rather than shrinking yourself to make them comfortable. And in this sacred space of solitude, you do your deepest healing work. Without the pressure to perform normalcy for others, without the need to minimize your transformation to make others feel better, you can fully embrace the beautiful, messy, magnificent process of becoming who you were always meant to be. The universe operates on perfect timing, my friends. And your solitude is not empty waiting, it's active preparation. When you understand that everyone and everything in your life is a reflection of your consciousness, you realize that your ideal partner, your true friends, your soul family, they're not missing, they're being prepared. Think of it this way. You wouldn't want to meet your soulmate before you were ready to be the person they deserve, would you? The universe is simultaneously preparing you and preparing them. Every day of your solitude is a day of becoming. You're being refined, purified, strengthened for a love that will match your expanded consciousness. This is why forcing relationships never works for the awakened soul. You cannot squeeze your magnificence into someone else's limited perception of who you should be. Instead, you must hold steady in your knowing that perfect love, perfect friendship, perfect companionship is already yours, in the fourth dimension of imagination, and it's simply a matter of time before it manifests in this three-dimensional world. Let me share with you a revelation that changed everything for me. I was once consumed with impatience about when my ideal relationship would manifest. I had done my inner work. I had imagined my perfect companion. I had assumed the feeling of being loved completely and understood fully. Yet my physical reality seemed stubbornly unchanged. I was still alone, still waiting, still wondering if I was doing something wrong. Then one evening, as I was walking through Central Park, I witnessed something beautiful. I saw a master gardener tending to a rose garden, carefully pruning some bushes, while others were in full bloom. When I asked him about the difference, he smiled and said, "These roses are not ready yet. If I forced them to bloom now, they would be weak, short-lived, not their fullest expression. But when their time comes, they will be magnificent." In that moment, I understood. The universe is a master gardener, and I was being tended with the same loving care. My perfect relationship wasn't delayed. It was being perfected. Every day of solitude was a day of becoming more worthy of the love I desired. Every moment of aloneness was a moment of growing into the person who could attract and maintain a divine partnership. But here's the deeper truth I discovered. Divine timing isn't just about waiting for the right person to appear. It's about becoming the right person for them to find. Every day you spend in conscious solitude, working on yourself, healing your wounds, expanding your consciousness, raising your vibration, you're literally broadcasting a signal into the universe. You're calling to your perfect match, not through desperation, but through demonstration. The mathematics of consciousness is precise. Your inner state of being is constantly creating your outer circumstances. If you're in a state of loneliness, of neediness, of feeling incomplete without another, you will attract relationships that reinforce those feelings. But if you're in a state of wholeness, of self-love, of joyful expectation, you will attract partnerships that reflect those qualities. This is why your period of solitude is so crucial. It's during this time that you learn to be genuinely happy in your own company. You discover that you are already complete, already whole, already perfectly lovable exactly as you are. You stop looking for someone to complete you and start preparing to share your completeness with another complete being. And here's the beautiful part. While you're doing this inner work, so is your ideal partner. Somewhere in this world, there's someone who is perfect for you, and they're going through their own process of becoming. They're healing their own wounds, raising their own consciousness, preparing to be worthy of a love like yours. The universe is orchestrating both of your journeys simultaneously, weaving together the perfect circumstances for your eventual meeting. When you truly understand this, impatience dissolves into excitement. Loneliness transforms into anticipation. You're no longer waiting for love. You're preparing for love. You're not missing out on anything. You're getting ready for everything. Here's something beautiful about the awakened soul's journey. Your deepest wounds become your greatest strengths. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every disappointment taught you self-reliance. Every moment of being misunderstood taught you the value of understanding yourself completely. You see, the ordinary person runs from pain, but the awakened soul learns to dance with it. You've discovered that emotions are just energy in motion, that circumstances are just shadows cast by consciousness, that even the darkest night eventually gives way to dawn. This intimate relationship with your own healing process makes you incredibly powerful, but it also makes you quite selective about who you allow into your inner world. You've worked too hard to create peace within yourself, to let just anyone disturb it with their unconscious chaos. Let me tell you about a time when this principle became crystal clear to me. I had just emerged from one of the most challenging periods of my life, a time when everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and human nature had been shattered. I was raw, vulnerable, but also strangely empowered. I had walked through fire and discovered that I was not consumed. I was refined. During this period, several people attempted to enter my life romantically. On the surface, they seemed kind, attractive, interested. But something within me, a new radar that had been calibrated through pain, detected frequencies that would have been invisible to my former, more naive self. I could sense the neediness masked as affection, the manipulation disguised as charm, the unconscious wounds that they expected me to heal, rather than taking responsibility for healing themselves. The old me would have ignored these signals, would have given people the benefit of the doubt, would have confused pity with love, and fixing with caring. But the new me, the me that had been forged in the crucible of experience, could not unsee what I now saw. I had become allergic to unconsciousness, intolerant of emotional immaturity, unable to pretend that surface charm could substitute for genuine depth. This new discernment was both a gift and a burden. It was a gift because it protected me from repeating old patterns, from entering relationships that would only recreate the pain I had worked so hard to heal. But it was also a burden because it meant being alone until I found someone who could match my new level of emotional intelligence and spiritual maturity. I remember feeling frustrated by this new selectivity. Am I being too picky? I wondered. Am I letting perfect be the enemy of good? But then I realized something profound. My pain had not made me bitter. It had made me wise. My wounds had not closed my heart. They had expanded it to hold more love while simultaneously installing better security systems. You see, when you've done the deep work of healing, when you've faced your shadows and integrated your lessons, when you've learned to love yourself through your darkest moments, you develop what I call conscious standards. These aren't superficial preferences about height or income or social status. These are soul-deep requirements about emotional availability, spiritual awareness, personal responsibility, and authentic communication. People who haven't done their own inner work often can't meet these standards, not because they're bad people, but because they're operating from an unconscious level. They might want to love you, but they don't yet know how to love themselves. They might be attracted to your light, but they're not yet ready to do the work required to kindle their own flame. And so once again, your solitude becomes a gift from the universe. It protects you from settling for relationships that would require you to dim your light, hide your growth, or pretend that you haven't learned what you've learned. It holds space for connections with others who have also walked through fire and emerged transformed. My dear friends, your solitude is not selfish. It's sacred service. The universe is preparing you for something magnificent, something that requires you to be absolutely clear about who you are and why you're here. Every moment alone is a moment of crystallizing your purpose, of aligning with your highest calling. Think of the great teachers, the great healers, the great leaders throughout history. They all had their wilderness experiences, their times of preparation in solitude, where they communed with the infinite and received their marching orders for how to serve humanity. Your aloneness is not loneliness. It's communion with the divine. You're being downloaded with wisdom, charged with love, equipped with tools that you'll eventually use to help lift others. But first, you must be completely established in your own truth, unshakable in your own knowing. I want to share with you a vision that came to me during one of my deepest periods of solitude. I was sitting in meditation, feeling the weight of my aloneness, when suddenly I was shown something extraordinary. I saw myself not as an isolated individual struggling with loneliness, but as a lighthouse keeper, alone by necessity, but serving by design. In this vision, I understood that my solitude was not about me at all. It was about everyone who would eventually be touched by the light I was tending. Every hour I spent alone, reading, studying, meditating, growing, I was not just developing myself, I was preparing to serve others who would one day desperately need what I was learning. I saw that every awakened soul goes through this period of seeming isolation, because we are being prepared for a form of service that requires us to be completely unattached to human approval, utterly committed to truth regardless of its popularity, absolutely dedicated to love, even when it's not returned. You see, my friends, when you awaken to your true nature, you don't just awaken for yourself, you awaken for everyone whose life you will touch. Your consciousness becomes a gift to the collective consciousness of humanity. Your peace becomes a contribution to global peace. Your love becomes part of the ocean of divine love that sustains all life. But this level of service requires a level of purification that can only happen in solitude. You must become so clear about your own truth that no amount of external pressure can shake you from it. You must become so established in love that no amount of hate can diminish it. You must become so rooted in inner peace that no amount of chaos can disturb it. This is why the universe isolates you during this crucial phase of your development. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You're being seasoned, tested, refined for a mission that will require everything you have and everything you are. During my years of teaching, I've encountered countless souls who wondered why they felt so alone despite their spiritual growth. They would say, "Neville, I'm doing everything right. I'm meditating, I'm serving others, I'm living consciously. Why do I still feel so isolated?" And I would tell them what I'm telling you now. Your isolation is your incubation. You're not being sidelined, you're being prepared for the game of your life. Every great teacher I've studied, every profound mystic I've encountered, every truly transformational leader I've observed has gone through this phase. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading his people to freedom. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert before beginning his ministry. Buddha sat alone under the Bodhi tree before awakening to his mission. Your wilderness period, your desert experience, your time under the tree of solitude, this is not empty time. This is the most important time. This is when you're being transformed from someone who needs salvation into someone who can offer it. From someone who seeks healing into someone who can provide it. From someone who desires love into someone who can be loved. And the beautiful truth is this: when your preparation is complete, when you've been fully equipped for your mission, the universe will send you exactly the companions you need for the journey ahead. Not just romantic partners, but soul allies, fellow warriors, kindred spirits who share your mission and can walk alongside you in service to something greater than yourselves. Finally, my beloved friends, you are alone because you carry within you the depth of eternity itself. Your soul has been seasoned by lifetimes of experience, refined by countless journeys through form and formlessness. This depth is not compatible with superficial connections. You've tasted the wine of divine communion. How could cheap substitutes ever satisfy you again? You've experienced moments of pure oneness with the infinite. How could small talk about weather and gossip ever fulfill your need for meaningful connection? This is not arrogance. It's simply truth. You've evolved beyond the need for external validation, beyond the desire for empty social interaction, beyond the willingness to pretend that surface connections could ever satisfy your soul's deep longing for authentic communion. I remember attending a dinner party years ago, surrounded by intelligent, successful, well-meaning people. The conversation flowed easily: politics, business, entertainment, travel. Everyone was charming, everyone was witty, everyone was having what appeared to be a wonderful time. But I felt like I was watching a play, observing actors performing roles that had nothing to do with who they really were. At one point, someone asked me what I did for a living. When I mentioned that I taught about the power of imagination to create reality, the conversation paused. A few polite questions followed, but I could feel the energy shift. I had introduced a note that didn't harmonize with the carefully orchestrated superficiality of the evening. Later, driving home alone, I reflected on that experience. I realized that I could no longer participate in conversations that didn't acknowledge the miraculous nature of existence, the profound mystery of consciousness, the incredible power that lies dormant within every human being. I had lost the ability to pretend that anything else mattered as much as these truths. This realization was both liberating and isolating. Liberating because I no longer had to exhaust myself, trying to fit into conversations that felt meaningless to me. Isolating because it meant that most social gatherings would feel like foreign territory. Most casual interactions would feel hollow. Most attempts at connection would fall short of what my soul craved. But here's what I discovered. When you stop trying to find depth in shallow waters, when you stop expecting profound connection from people who aren't ready for it, when you stop pretending that surface-level interaction satisfies you, you create space for the kind of communion your soul truly seeks. Your depth is not a burden. It's a beacon. It signals to other deep souls that here is someone who won't be satisfied with pretense. Someone who won't settle for performance over authenticity. Someone who insists on real connection or no connection at all. This standard of excellence in relationship naturally limits your options, but it also ensures that the connections you do make are extraordinary. When you finally encounter someone who can match your depth, who can dive as deep as you can swim, who can handle the intensity of your authentic self, that connection is worth all the loneliness you've endured to make space for it. Now here's what changes everything. And once you understand this, you'll never see loneliness the same way again. True relationship begins with self-union. When you fall in love with your own company, when you discover that the most fascinating person you know is the one in the mirror, when you realize that solitude is not the absence of love, but the presence of self-love, everything shifts. You see, most people are looking for someone to complete them, but you've discovered that you are already complete. Most people are seeking their other half, but you've realized you are already whole. This makes you incredibly attractive to other whole people and completely unattractive to those still looking outside themselves for salvation. When you truly understand that you are the God of your own reality, that your imagination is the creative force of the universe operating as you, that every person in your world is yourself pushed out, then solitude becomes sacred communion with the divine. Let me tell you about the moment this truth crystallized for me. I was sitting alone in my study one evening, reading, when I suddenly became aware of the profound peace that surrounded me. There was no television chattering in the background, no phone ringing with demands on my attention, no one else's energy interfering with my own. Just me, my thoughts, my connection to the infinite, and a sense of completeness that was breathtaking. In that moment, I realized that I wasn't alone at all. I was in the most intimate company possible. I was with God, and I was God. The consciousness that was reading those words, the awareness that was appreciating the silence, the being that was reveling in the solitude, this was the divine individualized as me. How could I ever be lonely in the presence of the infinite? This revelation transformed everything. I stopped seeing solitude as something to endure, and started experiencing it as something to celebrate. I stopped feeling sorry for myself, for being alone, and started feeling grateful for the privilege of uninterrupted communion with my own divine nature. When you reach this level of self-union, something magical happens in your relationships with others. You stop needing them to fill your emptiness, because you've discovered your fullness. You stop expecting them to complete you because you've realized your wholeness. You stop looking for someone to make you happy, because you've learned to be happiness itself. This shift is revolutionary, because it changes the very foundation of how you approach relationship. Instead of seeking someone to fix what's wrong with your life, you seek someone to share what's right with it. Instead of looking for someone to heal your wounds, you look for someone whose healed wounds complement yours. Instead of needing someone to make you feel worthy of love, you overflow with love and seek someone worthy of receiving it. But this transformation requires time in solitude, time to discover who you are when no one else is watching, time to fall in love with your own thoughts, time to appreciate your own company. It requires periods of being alone, without feeling lonely, of being single, without feeling incomplete, of being independent, without feeling isolated. Most people are afraid of this level of solitude because they've never learned to distinguish between being alone and being lonely. They equate physical aloneness with emotional emptiness, solitude with sadness, independence with isolation. But the awakened soul discovers that the opposite is true. Solitude is fullness, aloneness is wholeness, independence is freedom. During these precious periods of solitude, something alchemical happens within you. You begin to transmute loneliness into self-love, isolation into intimacy with the divine, waiting into preparation. You discover that you are not half of a person looking for your other half. You are a complete being preparing to share your completeness with another complete being. This alchemical process cannot be rushed, my friends. Just as gold must be heated to a specific temperature for a specific duration to be purified, your consciousness must be refined through sustained periods of solitude to reach its fullest expression. Every day you spend in conscious communion with yourself is a day of becoming more purely yourself. I think of this process like a master chef preparing a magnificent feast. They don't rush to the table with half-cooked ingredients. They take the time to properly season, marinate, and prepare each element so that when everything comes together, it creates something extraordinary. Your solitude is your seasoning time, your marination period, your preparation phase for the magnificent feast of relationship that awaits. During this preparation, you develop what I call sovereign love. Love that comes from fullness rather than emptiness. Love that gives rather than takes. Love that enhances rather than completes. This is the kind of love that attracts other sovereign lovers, creating relationships that are unions of strength rather than marriages of weakness. And here's the most beautiful part of all, the miraculous gift that awaits on the other side of this sacred journey. When you've completed this sacred initiation into conscious solitude, when you've learned to be gloriously, completely yourself in your own company, something magical happens. You begin to attract others who have walked their own path to wholeness. You begin to magnetize relationships that add to your joy rather than fill your emptiness. These relationships are different from anything you've experienced before. They're not based on need, but on overflow. They're not about finding yourself in another, but about sharing yourself with another. They're not about completion, but about expansion. You'll recognize these people immediately because they won't try to dim your light or change your nature. They'll celebrate your depth, match your intensity, and contribute their own unique magnificence to the beautiful tapestry of your shared experience. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like. When two people who have mastered the art of sacred solitude come together, they don't lose themselves in each other. They find themselves more fully. They don't become dependent on each other for happiness. They multiply the happiness they've each learned to create independently. They don't complete each other. They complement each other. Imagine two master musicians who have each spent years perfecting their individual instruments. When they come together to play a duet, they don't lose their individual skills. They combine them to create something even more beautiful than either could produce alone. This is what relationship looks like when it's founded on self-union rather than codependence. And here's the most beautiful part. These kinds of relationships don't just appear randomly. They are attracted by the very consciousness that you develop during your period of sacred solitude. The peace you cultivate within yourself attracts peaceful partners. The love you learn to give yourself draws loving companions. The wholeness you discover in your own being magnetizes other whole beings. This is the divine mathematics of consciousness at work. Your inner state of being is constantly broadcasting a signal into the universe, attracting people, circumstances, and experiences that match your predominant frequency. When you spend your solitude developing self-love, inner peace, and spiritual depth, you literally tune yourself to attract relationships that reflect these qualities. I want to leave you with this sacred promise. Your solitude is temporary, but the strength, wisdom, and self-love you're developing during this time is eternal. You are not being punished by the universe. You are being prepared by it. Every day you choose to honor your own nature, to respect your own needs, to love your own company. You're sending a signal to the universe that you're ready for relationships that honor, respect, and love you in return. Your loneliness is not a life sentence. It's a love letter from the universe, reminding you that you are too precious to settle for anything less than extraordinary. Your solitude is not empty space. It's sacred space, being prepared for something beautiful. But let me tell you something even more beautiful. The love that's coming to you, the relationships that are even now being prepared for your life. They will be worth every moment of loneliness you've endured. They will be so perfectly matched to who you've become during this time of preparation that you'll understand why nothing else worked out. You'll see that every relationship that didn't happen was protecting space for the one that will honor the magnificent being you've become. Every door that closed was redirecting you toward the door that was always meant to open. Every person who walked away was making room for the one who will choose to stay, not despite your depth, but because of it. Your journey through solitude has transformed you into something rare and precious. A human being who knows their own worth, who has learned to love themselves completely, who has discovered that happiness is an inside job. This transformation makes you magnetic to others who have done their own inner work, who understand that relationship is not about finding someone to complete you, but about sharing your completeness with another complete soul. The waiting period is ending, dear friend. The preparation phase is drawing to a close. The universe has been watching you learn to dance alone, so that when your partner arrives, you'll know how to dance together without losing your individual rhythm. Right now, in this very moment, there are souls preparing to enter your life who will celebrate your depth, match your energy, and contribute to your joy rather than drain from it. They are being refined by their own experiences, polished by their own challenges, prepared by their own periods of sacred solitude. The universe is orchestrating a divine reunion, not just with romantic love, but with your entire soul family. Friends who will understand your journey, companions who will appreciate your growth, collaborators who will share your mission of service to something greater than yourselves. And until that beautiful reunion manifests in your physical reality, continue to live the sacred secret. Be so full of your own love, so complete in your own being, so joyful in your own company, that when others join your life, they're adding to an already magnificent feast rather than filling an empty table. Dance in your solitude, sing in your silence, create in your aloneness. Let your light shine so brightly that it becomes a beacon for other lights to find their way to you. And the final truth is this: your solitude has been sacred, your waiting has been worthy, and your loneliness has been leading you home, not to another person, but to yourself. And from that place of complete self-union, you will attract relationships that are not just connections, but celebrations of the divine love that you are. The awakened soul knows this truth. You are never truly alone, because you carry the infinite within you. And soon, very soon, you will share that infinity with others who recognize it, honor it, and reflect it back to you, magnified. Your solitude is ending. Your celebration is beginning. Your sacred appointment with destiny is about to be fulfilled. Welcome home to yourself, dear friend. Welcome home to love. Tonight, I want to share with you something that will change how you see every single moment of your life. What if I told you that everything, every person you meet, every number you see, every song that plays at precisely the right moment, is not coincidence, but conversation, a divine dialogue between your consciousness and the very fabric of reality itself? You see, my friend, you have been living in a world that speaks to you constantly, but you have forgotten the language. Tonight, we remember. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought of someone you haven't spoken to in years, only to have them call you within hours? Have you ever opened a book to a random page and found the exact answer to a question that had been burning in your mind? Have you ever noticed the same sequence of numbers, 111, 222, 333, appearing everywhere you look, as if reality itself were leaving breadcrumbs for you to follow? If you have experienced any of these, then you have been touched by what I call the secret language of reality. And tonight, you will learn to speak it fluently. I want you to imagine for a moment that you are not merely a physical being stumbling through a random universe. Imagine instead that you are pure consciousness, wearing the garment of flesh, moving through a reality that is as responsive to your inner states as clay is to the potter's hands. This is not imagination. This is truth. When I speak of synchronicities, I am not speaking of mere coincidences. I am speaking of the language of God, the whispers of your own wonderful human imagination made manifest in the world of Caesar. Every meaningful coincidence, every perfect timing, every moment when the outer world mirrors your inner conversations, these are not accidents. They are appointments. You see, from the moment you wake until the moment you sleep, you are in constant conversation with infinite intelligence. But this conversation does not happen through words. It happens through experience, through the seemingly random events that are not random at all, but perfectly orchestrated responses to your inner states. But here's what they don't want you to know about these divine appointments. You have been conditioned, my friend, to believe in a dead universe, a universe where things simply happen to you, rather than a universe that is constantly responding from you. The materialist worldview, this poverty of imagination, would have you believe that consciousness is merely a byproduct of matter, that your thoughts are powerless, that synchronicities are mere statistical flukes. But I tell you tonight, consciousness is the only reality, and what we call the physical world is its shadow. From the moment you drew your first breath, a systematic campaign was waged against your divine nature. The very institutions that claimed to educate you were, in fact, training you to ignore the miraculous. When as a child, you noticed the uncanny connections, the perfect timings, the way reality seemed to dance with your inner world, what were you told? It's just coincidence. Don't be so imaginative. That's not how the world works. Stop daydreaming and focus on reality. But the child in you knew better, didn't you? The child in you recognized that the world was alive, responsive, speaking in a language older than words. You could sense when someone was thinking about you. You knew when something was about to happen. You instinctively felt the connections between all things. Then came the schools, with their rigid structures and materialist dogma. They didn't teach you how to listen to your intuition, or recognize the signs that reality was constantly sending you. Instead, they taught you to memorize facts, follow rules, and obey external authority. They trained you to trust only what could be measured, weighed, and categorized. Creativity was systematically pushed aside, in favor of logical reasoning. Imagination was dismissed as childish fantasy. Abstract thinking was discouraged, unless it served the machine of production and consumption. If you couldn't see it, touch it, or prove it in a laboratory, it wasn't real. But here's the truth they didn't want you to discover. The greatest minds in history, Carl Jung, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, all recognized that reality is far more mysterious and responsive than the materialist worldview suggests. They understood that synchronicities and meaningful patterns were not anomalies to be dismissed, but clues to the deeper nature of existence itself. Now wait until you hear what these great minds discovered about the hidden intelligence governing reality. Carl Jung, that brilliant explorer of the psyche, coined the term synchronicity after witnessing countless examples of events aligning in ways that defied logical explanation. He recognized these meaningful coincidences as expressions of what he called the collective unconscious, that vast reservoir of shared human experience that connects all minds. But Carl Jung was rediscovering what the ancients had always known. The mystics of old understood that individual consciousness is not separate from universal consciousness. They knew that what we call the outer world is actually the projection of inner states, and that by changing our inner nature, we could transform our entire experience of reality. Tesla, that master of energy and frequency, spoke of the universe as a vast field of vibration. He understood that everything, including thoughts and emotions, carries a specific frequency, and that by attuning ourselves to certain frequencies, we could influence the very fabric of reality. Einstein, despite his association with materialist science, recognized that the observer plays a fundamental role in determining reality. His famous statement that God does not play dice with the universe was not a denial of quantum mechanics, but an affirmation that there is an underlying intelligence and order to existence. These great minds understood what the mystery schools had taught for millennia, that consciousness is not a passive observer of reality, but the active creator of it. And there's one crucial element that determines whether you experience these miracles daily or remain blind to them. Modern quantum physics has stumbled upon something that mystics have known for thousands of years. Reality is not fixed and independent, but fluid and responsive to consciousness. The famous double-slit experiment revealed that the mere act of observation changes the behavior of particles at the most fundamental level of reality. What does this mean for you? It means that reality is not what happens to you. It is what happens through you. Your consciousness is not separate from the universe. It is the universe experiencing itself subjectively. When you truly understand this, synchronicities become not mysterious coincidences, but natural expressions of consciousness, recognizing itself in the mirror of experience. But here's where most people miss the profound implications. If consciousness creates reality, then your thoughts, beliefs, and especially your feelings are not just personal experiences. They are creative forces shaping your world moment by moment. This is why some people seem to live charmed lives, where opportunities appear effortlessly and perfect timing is commonplace. It's not luck, it's alignment. They have learned, either consciously or unconsciously, to vibrate at frequencies that attract synchronicities. Everything in the universe, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, vibrates at specific frequencies. Your thoughts and emotions are no exception. Each thought carries a vibration, each emotion a frequency, and these frequencies act like radio signals, attracting experiences that match their vibrational signature. When you consistently think thoughts of fear, lack, and limitation, you attune yourself to the frequency of struggle and discord. Your subconscious mind, which is connected to the infinite intelligence that governs all things, begins to attract circumstances that match these frequencies. But when you elevate your consciousness, when you think thoughts of love, abundance, and possibility, you align yourself with higher frequencies. You become a magnet for synchronicities, opportunities, and what others call lucky breaks. This is not wishful thinking, my friend. This is the fundamental law by which reality operates. The universe is not a random collection of unrelated events. It is an interconnected web of consciousness, responding to your inner states with mathematical precision. Now I'll reveal the exact mechanism by which your thoughts become your reality. Your subconscious mind is the bridge between the inner world of consciousness and the outer world of experience. While your conscious mind is focused on daily tasks and immediate concerns, your subconscious is constantly processing deeper patterns, making connections that your rational mind cannot see. This deeper intelligence within you never sleeps. It is always working, always arranging circumstances, always drawing to you people and situations that match your dominant mental and emotional patterns. When you set an intention, whether consciously or unconsciously, your subconscious begins the process of materialization. It starts by heightening your awareness to opportunities that were always there but previously invisible to you. This is why when you decide to buy a certain car, you suddenly see that model everywhere. But the subconscious goes far beyond simple pattern recognition. It operates through what Jung called the collective unconscious, that vast network of shared consciousness that connects all minds. Through this connection, your subconscious can influence the subconscious minds of others, creating what appear to be miraculous coincidences. The person who calls you just as you're thinking of them is not experiencing a random event. Their subconscious has picked up the signal from your subconscious. The stranger who appears with exactly the information you need is being guided by the same intelligence that is guiding you. This is why people who strongly believe in synchronicities experience them more frequently. Their belief creates a state of expectancy that programs their subconscious to actively participate in the orchestration of meaningful coincidences. There is a network in your brainstem called the reticular activating system, or RAS, that filters the millions of pieces of information bombarding your senses every moment. This system determines what reaches your conscious awareness and what remains in the background. It is like a search engine for your brain. Whatever you focus on, whatever you believe is important, becomes a priority for this system. If you're looking for red cars, you'll see red cars everywhere. If you're focused on problems, you'll notice problems. If you're attuned to synchronicities, they will appear with increasing frequency. But here's the profound truth. This system doesn't just filter existing information. It actually influences what information becomes available to filter. When you program your RAS to look for signs, opportunities, and meaningful connections, you are literally reprogramming reality to present you with more of these experiences. This is why the people who live in the flow of synchronicity seem to inhabit a different world than those who see only randomness and struggle. They have programmed their consciousness to recognize and attract the hidden order that underlies all apparent chaos. There's one ancient practice that can immediately amplify your ability to receive these divine messages. Now I come to the heart of all creation. The secret that I have been sharing for decades. The power of assumption. Assumption is not hope. It is not wishing. It is not positive thinking. Assumption is the act of accepting as true that which your senses deny and your reason rejects. It is feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled before there is any evidence in the outer world. When you assume something to be true, when you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not trying to make something happen. You are acknowledging that it has already happened in the only realm that matters, consciousness. Every assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is not metaphor. This is the fundamental law of creation. Your assumptions are the seeds from which your experiences grow. To understand how synchronicities work, you must understand the three states of consciousness from which you can operate. Number one, the victim state. In this state, you believe that life happens to you. You see yourself as subject to forces beyond your control. Synchronicities, if they appear at all, are dismissed as mere coincidence. You live in reaction to circumstances rather than in response to your inner vision. Number two, the magical state. In this state, you recognize that synchronicities exist, but you still see them as coming from outside yourself. You wait for signs, you look for omens, you try to interpret what the universe is telling you. While this is a step up from the victim state, you are still not operating from your full power. Number three, the creator state. In this state, you recognize that you are the operant power. You understand that synchronicities are not messages from some external universe. They are confirmations from your own divine nature. You don't wait for signs. You create them. You don't look for omens. You become them. Only when you operate from the creator state do synchronicities become a constant companion, rather than occasional visitors. And here's the specific technique that allows you to consciously enter the creator state. The ancients knew something that modern man has forgotten: how to have a conscious conversation with reality. They called it prayer, but their prayer was not begging, it was claiming; not hoping, it was knowing; not asking, it was thanking. Here is their method, refined through my own experience, and proven through countless applications. Step 1. Enter the silence. Find that quiet space within yourself, where the noise of the outer world cannot penetrate. This is not merely physical silence. It is the silence of assumption, where you cease to argue with life, and simply accept what you desire as already accomplished. Step 2. Construct the scene. Create in your imagination a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. Make it simple, natural, and easily repeatable. If you desire abundance, perhaps you see yourself comfortably paying bills without concern. If you desire love, perhaps you feel a loving hand in yours. Step 3. Enter the scene. Don't observe the scene. Enter it. Feel yourself in the situation. Use all your senses. Make it as real as any experience you've ever had. The subconscious cannot distinguish between an imagined experience and a physical one. If the imagined experience is felt as real. Step 4. Feel the reality. This is the crucial step. You must feel the reality of what you are imagining. Not the feeling of wanting it, but the feeling of having it. Dwell in that feeling until it becomes natural, until it feels more real than your current circumstances. Step 5. Release with gratitude. Having felt the reality of your fulfilled desire, release it with complete confidence. Don't hold on to it with mental effort. Let it go, knowing that your subconscious will now move heaven and earth to make it manifest. When you practice this method consistently, synchronicities don't just increase, they become the very fabric of your existence. One of the most common ways that consciousness communicates with itself is through numbers. You begin to notice 1111 appearing on clocks. You see 222 on license plates. 333 shows up on receipts and billboards. These are not random occurrences. In the mystical traditions, numbers are considered the language of creation itself. Each number carries a specific vibration, a particular message from your deeper self. When you see 111, it often signifies new beginnings, the opening of energy portals in your life. 222 speaks of balance and partnership, divine timing, bringing things into alignment. 333 represents the trinity of mind, body, and spirit, working in harmony. But here's the deeper truth. The specific meaning of these numbers is less important than your recognition of them. Each time you notice a meaningful number sequence, you are acknowledging the intelligence that governs your life. You are saying yes to the conversation between your conscious and subconscious minds. The more you acknowledge these numerical signs, the more frequently they appear. Not because you're looking for them, but because your recognition of them strengthens the connection between the seen and unseen aspects of your being. But there's an even more powerful form of synchronicity that most people never learn to recognize. Beyond numbers, consciousness speaks through symbols, songs, animals, and seemingly random encounters. That song that plays just as you're thinking of someone special. The book that falls open to exactly the page you need to read. The stranger who says precisely the words you need to hear. These symbolic synchronicities are the universe's way of confirming that you are on the right path, that your inner and outer worlds are aligning. They are love letters from your own divine nature, written in the language of experience. I remember a student who was struggling with a difficult decision about her career. She had been assuming success in a new field, but was wavering in her conviction. One morning, she found a white feather on her doorstep, something she had never seen before in 20 years of living in her apartment. That evening, a friend called unexpectedly and mentioned seeing a white bird, which reminded her of an old saying about white feathers being signs of encouragement from guardian angels. Later that same day, she opened a magazine to a random page and saw an article titled, "Taking Flight, When to Trust Your Wings." These were not three separate coincidences. They were one coordinated message from her subconscious mind, confirming that her assumption of success was being supported by infinite intelligence. The key to working with symbolic synchronicities is to trust your first instinct about their meaning. Your intuition will always recognize the personal significance of these signs before your rational mind can analyze them. Perhaps the most powerful synchronicities involve other people. You meet someone who has exactly the knowledge you need. You encounter a stranger who shares your specific interest or challenge. You run into an old friend just when you need their particular skill or perspective. These human synchronicities reveal something profound about the nature of reality. We are all connected at levels deeper than our physical senses can perceive. When you need something, the universe doesn't always deliver it as an object or opportunity. Sometimes it delivers it as a person. But here's what most people miss. These people are not randomly appearing in your life. They are being drawn to you by the same intelligence that is guiding you toward them. Your assumption, your inner conviction, your emotional state is sending out signals that attract exactly the people you need. I have witnessed this countless times in my own life and in the lives of my students. The person who needs healing attracts the healer. The one who needs teaching attracts the teacher. The one who needs love attracts the lover. This is not luck or chance. This is consciousness orchestrating reality through the medium of human relationships. Now I'll share the one mistake that causes most people to miss these miraculous encounters. The fatal error that most people make is this. They wait for the sign before they believe, instead of believing and then receiving the sign as confirmation. Let me tell you plainly, faith is not believing despite the lack of evidence. Faith is knowing that your assumption, once felt as real, must produce evidence. When you truly live from the end, when you inhabit the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled, the signs don't come to convince you. They come to celebrate with you. Most people approach synchronicities backwards. They think, if I see a sign, then I'll believe my desire is coming true. But the correct approach is, because I believe my desire is already fulfilled, I recognize these signs as confirmations of that truth. This reversal of understanding is the difference between those who experience occasional synchronicities and those who live in constant communion with the creative forces of the universe. Once you begin to live consciously, once you start assuming your desires fulfilled and recognizing synchronicities as confirmations, something remarkable happens. Everything accelerates. Synchronicities don't just increase in frequency, they increase in precision and power. The signs become unmistakable. The timing becomes perfect. The connections become profound. This acceleration occurs because you are aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation. Instead of swimming against the current of your own divine nature, you are moving with it. I have seen students go from experiencing one meaningful synchronicity per month to experiencing multiple synchronicities per day, not because they were trying harder, but because they were believing deeper. The universe rewards movement. When you act on your assumptions, when you trust your inner guidance, when you follow the synchronicities as they appear, reality responds by providing more guidance, more signs, more confirmations. To live in the flow of synchronicity is to live in what I call the lovely state of knowing. You know that you are loved, guided, and protected by your own wonderful human imagination, which is God Himself individualized as you. In this state, you don't worry about how your desires will be fulfilled. You know they are already fulfilled in consciousness, and you trust that the outer world will conform to this inner reality. You don't search for signs. You recognize them. You don't force synchronicities. You allow them. You don't doubt your power. You assume it. People who live in this flow often describe their lives as magical, charmed, blessed. They seem to be in the right place at the right time with remarkable consistency. Opportunities appear effortlessly. Problems resolve themselves. Connections happen naturally. But this is not special treatment from some external universe. This is the natural result of consciousness operating from its full power. Here is perhaps the deepest truth about synchronicities. They are not coming from outside you. They are reflections of your own consciousness, recognizing itself in the mirror of experience. When you see 11:11 on a clock, it is not the universe trying to get your attention. It is you, as God, reminding yourself of your divine nature. When you hear the perfect song, at the perfect moment, it is not some external intelligence speaking to you. It is your own wonderful human imagination, orchestrating your experience from within. When you meet exactly the right person at exactly the right time, it is not chance. It is consciousness drawing itself to itself through the medium of human encounter. Understanding this principle transforms your entire relationship with synchronicity. You stop looking for messages from outside and start recognizing the constant conversation you are having with yourself through the language of experience. There's one advanced technique that can instantly multiply your synchronicity experiences, and I have shared with very few students, but which I feel moved to share with you tonight. The practice of thanking reality for synchronicities before they appear. Instead of waiting for a sign and then expressing gratitude, you express gratitude for the signs that are already on their way to you. You thank your divine imagination for the perfect timing, the meaningful coincidences, the miraculous encounters that you know are being arranged even now. This practice does something extraordinary to your consciousness. It moves you from hoping for synchronicities to expecting them. And expectation is a powerful creative force. When you expect synchronicities, you look for them. When you look for them, you find them. When you find them, you believe in them more deeply. When you believe more deeply, you attract more powerful ones. This creates an upward spiral of increasing communion with the creative forces of reality. I promise you this. Begin to live consciously. Begin to assume your desires fulfilled. Begin to treat every synchronicity as a love letter from your own divine nature, and you will discover that miracles are not violations of natural law. They are the natural response of reality to awakened consciousness. The universe is not random. It is responsive. It is not indifferent. It is intimate. It knows your name, your desires, your dreams, because it is you, appearing as your world. But knowledge without application is powerless. You must practice these principles. You must assume the state of consciousness you desire to express. You must persist in your assumptions until they harden into fact. Start tonight. Before you sleep, assume something wonderful about tomorrow. Feel it as already accomplished. Live in that feeling until it becomes natural. Then watch. Watch as reality begins to speak to you more clearly. Watch as synchronicities increase in frequency and power. Watch as your life transforms from random chance to conscious creation. Every synchronicity is God's way of remaining anonymous, while personally delivering your good to you. Every meaningful coincidence is consciousness confirming its own creative power through you. You are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are the creative power, individualized and made personal. The next time you see 11:11 on the clock, know that it is not the universe trying to get your attention. It is you as God, reminding yourself of your divine nature. The next time the perfect song plays at the perfect moment, don't dismiss it as coincidence. Recognize it as your own wonderful human imagination, speaking to you through the language of experience itself. The next time you meet exactly the right person at exactly the right time, understand that this is not luck. This is consciousness orchestrating reality through the power of assumption. You have been having a conversation with God all along. You just didn't recognize the voice because it was your own. Tonight, I have reminded you of your true nature. I have shown you the language that reality speaks. I have revealed the mechanism by which consciousness creates experience. Now the question is, what will you assume? What will you claim as already accomplished? What reality will you create through the power of your own divine imagination? The universe is waiting for your answer, not in words, but in assumption, not in hope, but in feeling, not tomorrow, but now. Wake up, my friend. The universe has been calling your name, and now you know that the voice you've been hearing is your own. If this message has awakened something within you, let me know in the comments by simply writing, I am. Because in those two words lies the secret of all synchronicity, all creation, all power. I am is the name of God, and it is your name too. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow with complete amnesia, no memory of past failures, rejections, or disappointments. No internal voice whispering, remember last time you tried that. How different would your choices be? How bold would you become? What dreams would you pursue if your past couldn't hold you back? That's not fantasy. That's the power of identity. And right now, you're carrying the energetic imprint of every version of yourself that ever felt small, scared, or not enough. You're walking through life wearing invisible chains, forged from moments you couldn't control, decisions that didn't work out, and words that cut deeper than they should have. But here's what's fascinating. Quantum physics tells us that reality responds to observation, and who you are while observing determines what becomes real. So if you're observing life through the lens of past pain, guess what reality keeps delivering? More of the same. It's not punishment. It's precision. The universe is giving you exactly what you're vibrating, not what you're hoping for. Let me ask you something uncomfortable, something that might make you pause and really consider, what emotion do you feel most consistently throughout your day? And I don't mean when something good happens, or when you're deliberately trying to feel better. I mean your baseline, your emotional home base, the feeling that's always humming quietly in the background of your awareness. Is it excitement, gratitude, joy, a sense of anticipation for what's coming next? Or is it more like anxiety, frustration, that low-grade sense that something's always slightly wrong, that feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop, for things to go sideways, for disappointment to rear its familiar head? Here's the thing most people never realize. Those emotions aren't random. They're not even responses to what's happening around you. They're rehearsed patterns. Emotional habits your nervous system has memorized so deeply that they play automatically. Like background music you've stopped noticing. Your body has become addicted to certain chemical cocktails, stress hormones, worry patterns, the familiar ache of not quite enough. And that emotional background music, that's your vibrational signature. That's what you're broadcasting to the quantum field 24/7. Every cell in your body is like a tiny antenna, transmitting this frequency into the field around you. And the field, being utterly responsive and completely neutral, simply matches what you're putting out. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research, reveals something that should shake us all awake. By age 35, 95% of who you are consists of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, and unconscious habits. In other words, you're not really living. You're replaying. You're a biological recording of your past, playing the same songs over and over while your soul yearns for a new melody. Think about that for a moment. 95%. That means only 5% of your daily experience is actually conscious, present, alive. The rest is just autopilot. Patterns laid down years ago, still running the show. But here's where it gets wild. Bruce Lipton's groundbreaking work shows us that the moment you change your perception, you literally rewrite your body's chemistry, which means who you're being biologically, emotionally, energetically, is actively creating the reality you're experiencing. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You're the architect of your experience, designing from the blueprint of your identity. This is why willpower fails. This is why positive thinking feels hollow. This is why you can visualize all you want, create vision boards, repeat affirmations, and still feel stuck in the same patterns. Because underneath all that effort, your identity, your deepest sense of who you are, hasn't shifted. You're trying to build a new house on an old foundation, and the structure keeps collapsing back into familiar shapes. Think of yourself as a radio tower, constantly broadcasting a signal. That signal isn't your words or your vision board. It isn't what you post on social media or what you tell your friends you want. It's your state of being, your emotional baseline, the energy you carry when no one's watching, when you're alone with your thoughts, when life strips away all the pretense, and you're face to face with who you really believe yourself to be. And the universe, it's like a giant radio, perfectly tuned to whatever frequency you're transmitting. It doesn't judge your signal. It doesn't decide whether you deserve better. It simply responds to what you're putting out, matching it with mathematical precision. You might be saying, I want love. But if your baseline frequency is, I'm not enough, I always get hurt, or good things don't happen to people like me, you'll keep attracting situations that confirm those beliefs. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's precise. It's not giving you what you think you want. It's giving you exactly what you are. Here's where quantum physics becomes deeply spiritual, where science meets the sacred. The observer effect tells us that consciousness collapses potential into reality. But here's the twist that changes everything. Who you are while observing determines what collapses from the infinite field of possibilities. Your future self isn't some distant possibility you're trying to reach through years of struggle and self-improvement. They exist right now, in this moment, in a parallel frequency. The version of you who is confident, abundant, loved, healthy, fulfilled. They're as real as the version reading these words. The only thing separating you from them is your vibration. The only distance between here and there is the gap between who you think you are and who you truly are. Neville Goddard, that brilliant mystic, said it perfectly. You don't attract, you select. Every moment, you're selecting from infinite possibilities based on your state of consciousness, and your identity is the selector. Your sense of self is the lens through which reality appears. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath and let yourself imagine infinite versions of you existing simultaneously across the multiverse. One version is thriving in perfect health, their body vibrant and alive. Another is in their dream relationship, experiencing love that feels both passionate and peaceful. Another has achieved financial freedom, able to give generously and live without the stress of money worries. Another radiates unshakable confidence, speaking their truth without fear, creating the change they want to see in the world. These aren't fantasies. These aren't just wishful thinking or spiritual bypassing. According to quantum mechanics, they're real. The multiverse isn't science fiction. It's science fact. Every possibility, every potential timeline, every version of you exists simultaneously in the quantum field. Your job isn't to create these versions of yourself. Your job is to become vibrationally compatible with the one you want to experience. You don't build your future self. You tune into them. You don't manifest your dreams. You align with the timeline where they're already real. But here's what stops most people. They try to reach their future self from their current identity. They try to stretch who they are now, to grab hold of who they could become. But that's not how quantum mechanics works. That's not how consciousness operates. You don't extend from your limitations. You collapse into your truth. Let's try something right now. Imagine the version of you who already lives your desired reality walking into this room. Not as a stranger, not as someone you have to become, but as someone you're remembering. Feel their presence. Notice how they carry themselves. The ease in their shoulders, the clarity in their eyes, the quiet confidence in their voice that comes not from arrogance, but from alignment. They don't need to convince anyone of anything. They don't need to prove their worth or defend their choices. They simply radiate truth. They've stopped arguing with reality and started dancing with it. They've released the need to be right about their limitations and embraced the possibility of being wrong about them. Look closer at this version of yourself. See how they breathe. Deeper, slower, like they have all the time in the world, because they trust the timing of their life. Notice how they speak, with less urgency, less need to fill the silence, because they're comfortable in their own presence. Watch how they move through the world, not rushing towards something they lack, but flowing with what they are. Now ask them, what did you have to release to become this free? And listen, not with your mind, but with your heart. What whispers back to you? What stories did they stop telling themselves? What identities did they outgrow? What pain did they finally allow to heal, instead of carrying it like a badge of honor? Because here's the secret that spiritual teachers have known for millennia. Your higher self isn't built by adding more. It's revealed by subtracting, peeling away layers of conditioning, pain, and limiting beliefs until only essence remains. You don't become someone new. You remember who you've always been underneath all the programming. The caterpillar doesn't try to become a butterfly. It dissolves completely in the chrysalis, releases its old form entirely, and allows something that was always encoded in its DNA to emerge. The butterfly was always there, waiting. The caterpillar just had to surrender who it thought it was. Here's where transformation becomes real, where we move beyond understanding into embodiment. We're going to do more than discuss this. We're going to experience it. Because no amount of information, no matter how profound, will change your life until it becomes integrated into your nervous system, until it shifts from knowing to being. First, give your current identity a name, not to shame it or judge it, but to recognize it as a pattern rather than the truth of who you are. Maybe it's the doubter, the perfectionist, the one who always settles, the anxious one, the people pleaser. Whatever captures the energy of who you've been, don't overthink it. Let the name arise naturally. This identity served you once. It kept you safe when safety was what you needed most. It helped you navigate a world that felt unpredictable or hostile. It was your survival strategy, your coping mechanism, your way of making sense of experiences that didn't make sense. Honor it for what it was, a temporary costume for a temporary chapter of your life. Now visualize yourself carrying this old identity like a heavy backpack, like luggage you've been dragging through airports for years. Feel its weight on your shoulders, the way it slows your steps and curves your spine. This is the energetic burden you've been carrying, not just your own pain, but generations of pain, cultural conditioning, inherited limitations that were never yours to begin with. See yourself stopping on this journey, setting the weight down, unstrapping the backpack of old beliefs, unpacking the suitcase of past hurts. Feel your spine straightening, your breath deepening, as you release what was never meant to be permanent. Thank this old version of yourself. Speak to it with the compassion you would show a child who did their best with what they had. Say, thank you for protecting me. Thank you for keeping me alive. But I no longer need this kind of protection. I'm safe to be who I really am now. Then turn and walk away. Feel the lightness in your body, the space that opens up when you're no longer carrying the weight of who you used to be. This isn't abandonment, it's graduation. You're not rejecting your past, You're integrating its lessons and moving forward unburdened. Now stand up. Right now, wherever you are, assume the posture of your highest self. Not performed or forced, but natural. How would they breathe? From their belly, slow and deep. How would they hold their head? Lifted, eyes soft but clear. How would they position their shoulders? Relaxed, open, no longer protecting against attacks that aren't coming. Feel this new alignment in your body. This isn't pretending. This is remembering. This is what you feel like when you're not defending, when you're not afraid, when you're not trying to be anything other than what you are. Place your hand on your heart and feel it beating. This heart has been with you through everything, every triumph and tragedy, every moment of joy and despair. It has never stopped working for you, never given up on you, even when you gave up on yourself. Let it anchor you in this moment of choice. Now speak these words, not as a mantra to repeat mindlessly, but as a declaration of truth. I release who I was to become who I am. Feel the vibration of those words in your chest. Say them again. I release who I was to become who I am. Let them resonate in your bones, your blood, your DNA. This is more than affirmation. This is activation. When you truly shift your identity at this cellular level, reality doesn't slowly adapt over months and years. It reorganizes, sometimes gradually, sometimes suddenly. At first, you might notice subtle changes. A thought you've never had before. A feeling of lightness you can't explain. A sense that something fundamental has shifted even though everything looks the same. Then the external signs begin to appear. A person reaching out unexpectedly with exactly the opportunity you've been seeking. A solution to a long-standing problem suddenly becoming obvious. A feeling of being in the right place at the right time, as if the universe is conspiring to support your new trajectory. This isn't coincidence. This is coherence. When your inner world aligns, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions become consistent with your true nature, your outer world must follow. It's not magic. It's mathematics. It's the natural consequence of shifting from resistance to reception, from contradiction to coherence. But here's where most people stumble. They do this work once and expect permanent change. They experience a moment of clarity or breakthrough and then wonder why the old patterns creep back in. Understanding this process is crucial for lasting transformation. Your nervous system has been running old programs for years, maybe decades. It's going to take consistent practice to install new software. Every morning becomes a choice point. Every moment of stress becomes an opportunity to choose differently. Every time fear arises, you get to decide, will I respond from my old identity or my true one? This is your daily practice, your sacred work. Before the world crashes in with its demands and distractions, before you check your phone or start your to-do list, ask yourself, which version of me will I choose to be today? Not as a performance for others, but as a gift to yourself. Which frequency will you embody? Which timeline will you align with? Because every moment is a choice between your old self and your true self, between fear and love, between limitation and expansion, between the story of who you were and the truth of who you are. The old patterns will come knocking. They'll show up as familiar emotions, triggered responses, the voice that says, who do you think you are? Or this won't last? Or you're setting yourself up for disappointment. When they do, don't fight them. Don't judge yourself for their appearance. Simply recognize them as old programming and choose again. This work isn't just personal. It's planetary. Every person who breaks free from their old identity patterns creates a ripple in the collective consciousness. You're not just changing your life. You're contributing to a species-wide awakening. Every time you choose love over fear, expansion over contraction, truth over conditioning, you make it easier for others to do the same. The morphic field that Rupert Sheldrake describes means that once enough people embody a new way of being, it becomes accessible to everyone. Your healing doesn't just heal you, it heals your family lineage, your community, the collective human experience. Your liberation liberates more than just yourself. So here's my invitation to you. If this message has stirred something deep within you, if you feel that familiar tingling of recognition, if some part of you is saying, yes, this is what I've been searching for, don't just consume this content, embody it. Don't just understand these concepts, live them. The transformation you seek is not found in more information, more courses, more techniques. It's found in the willingness to stop being who you've always been, and to start being who you've always been, underneath who you've always been. Comment below, my old self has been released, not as a social media trend, but as an energetic declaration to the universe that you're no longer available for the past. Let it be your signature in the quantum field, your vote for a new reality, your commitment to a new way of being. And if you're ready to dive deeper into this frequency, to be part of a community that's actively collapsing old timelines and stepping into quantum possibilities, then subscribe. Not just to stay informed, but to stay transformed. Because this journey is easier when you're surrounded by others who understand what you're going through, who can witness your growth and reflect back your truth when you forget it. You are not your history. You are not your past mistakes. You are not the voice in your head that says you're not ready, not worthy, not enough. You are not the child who was hurt, the teenager who felt rejected, the young adult who made choices from fear instead of love. You are pure consciousness, temporarily wearing the costume of a human experience. You are the observer behind the observed, the awareness in which all experiences arise and pass away. You are the space in which thoughts appear, the silence between words, the stillness that remains when everything else changes. And you get to choose in every moment which costume you put on, which identity you embody, which version of reality you collapse from the infinite field of possibilities. The version of you that lives your dreams isn't coming. They're not waiting for you to get your act together, to heal all your wounds, to become perfect enough to deserve the life you desire. They're here. They're present. They're ready. They exist right now in the quantum field, in a frequency just slightly different from where you currently reside. The only question is, are you ready to meet them? Are you willing to release who you think you are to become who you truly are? Are you prepared to trade the familiar pain of your limitations for the unfamiliar joy of your freedom? The old you has served its purpose. It brought you to this moment, this realization, this choice point. It was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to be a bridge, and bridges are for crossing, not for living on. The new you, your authentic self, your true nature, your quantum identity, is already writing the next chapter. They're already living the life you've been dreaming of. They're already embodying the love, abundance, health, and purpose you seek. And reality, it's listening, it's responding, it's rearranging itself around your new frequency, even as you read these words. The field is malleable, responsive, alive. It's not waiting for you to deserve better. It's waiting for you to vibrate differently. Welcome to your quantum identity reset. Welcome to who you've always been underneath all the programming, conditioning, and pain. Welcome to the version of you that's been waiting patiently in the wings for permission to step onto the stage of your life. The field is waiting. Your future self is waiting. The life you've been seeking is waiting. What are you waiting for? Picture this. You wake up each morning, close your eyes, and visualize your dream life. You see the success, feel the abundance, imagine the perfect relationship. You repeat affirmations like I am worthy of love, or money flows to me easily. You make vision boards. You try to feel grateful for what you don't yet have. Sound familiar? You've probably spent countless hours in meditation, trying to align your vibration. You've read book after book, taken course after course. You've practiced gratitude journaling, done visualization exercises. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. Every time you visualize something as a future goal, you're unconsciously reinforcing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You're literally broadcasting I don't have this yet to the universe. Think about the energy behind the phrase, I want abundance. What's the hidden message? I don't have abundance. Each time you affirm what you want, you're actually confirming what you lack. And the universe? It's listening to every frequency you emit. It's giving you exactly what you're broadcasting. More waiting, more wanting, more almost but not quite. This is why traditional manifestation can feel so frustrating. You're working against yourself without even realizing it. Let's dive deeper into why this happens. When you operate from desire, you're operating from a fundamental assumption of separation. Desire inherently implies distance. It says, I am here, and what I want is over there. But here's where it gets really interesting. The quantum field, this invisible intelligence that responds to your consciousness, doesn't actually respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If your dominant state is wanting, the quantum field mirrors that exact frequency back to you. It gives you more situations where you're left wanting, where fulfillment remains just out of reach. This creates what I call the manifestation paradox. The harder you try, the more you reinforce the very gap you're trying to close. It's like trying to catch your own shadow. The faster you run toward it, the faster it moves away from you. Here's what changes everything. You don't manifest from desire. You manifest from outcome. This isn't just a mindset shift. It's a complete reversal of how manifestation actually works at the quantum level. Instead of projecting your desires into the future, you start from the end result and work backwards. Think about it like watching a movie backwards. When you start from the ending, you already know how everything resolves. There's no anxiety about whether the hero wins. You've already seen it. You don't doubt the outcome because you've experienced the resolution. That certainty changes your entire emotional state as you watch the story unfold. Quantum physics proves this isn't just philosophy. At the quantum level, all possibilities exist simultaneously in what scientists call the field of infinite potential. Your ideal life, your perfect relationship, your dream career, abundant health, it's all already there, existing as potential realities waiting to be selected. You're not creating it from scratch. You're choosing it from an infinite menu of possibilities that already exist. The double-slit experiment, one of the most famous experiments in quantum physics, shows us something incredible. Reality responds to observation. Subatomic particles exist as waves of possibility until they're observed, at which point they collapse into specific measurable particles. You're doing this every moment of your life. Your conscious observation, your dominant emotional state and focused attention is literally choosing which reality you experience from infinite possibilities. If you're constantly observing from lack, feeling the absence of what you want, you collapse realities that confirm that absence. But if you observe from fulfillment, from the emotional state of already having what you desire, you collapse realities that match that frequency. This isn't wishful thinking. It's quantum mechanics in action. Scientists have also discovered something called retrocausality, the idea that future events can influence past events at the quantum level. This suggests that when you align with a future outcome, you're not just attracting it, you're actually connecting with a timeline where it already exists. Every moment, your consciousness is performing this quantum selection process. Your beliefs, emotions, and expectations are the lens through which you observe reality. And that observation determines what becomes real in your experience. This is why people who expect good things to happen often experience more positive outcomes. It's not positive thinking, it's quantum mechanics. Their expectation shifts their observation, which collapses different possibilities into their reality. Consider this: your life right now is a perfect reflection of your dominant internal state. The quantum field is impartial and precise. It doesn't judge your desires as good or bad. It simply mirrors back your consistent emotional frequency. So if you want different external results, your task isn't to work harder externally. It's to shift your internal state to match the reality you want to experience. This is the foundation that most people get wrong. Stop visualizing your desires as future scenarios that might happen someday. Instead, clearly define your outcome from the perspective of already living it. Don't see yourself becoming wealthy. See yourself as someone who is wealthy right now. Don't imagine finding love. Experience being someone who is deeply loved and cherished. Don't visualize getting healthy. Embody the version of you who enjoys vibrant, effortless health. Here's the key. Experience it from the inside out, not from the outside in. Instead of watching yourself like you're viewing a movie, step into the scene. What does it feel like in your body? What thoughts naturally arise? How do you carry yourself when you already have everything you desire? Feel the satisfaction in your bones. Notice the confidence that flows through you. Experience the ease and naturalness of already having what you want. This isn't pretending. This is accessing a reality that already exists in the quantum field. Step 2. Become that version of yourself. This is where the real transformation happens. You need to shift from "I want to be successful" to "I am successful." But this isn't just about changing your words. It's about changing your entire energetic signature. Don't just say the words. Feel them resonate in every cell of your body. Notice how your posture changes when you truly accept this reality. Observe how your breathing shifts. Feel the tension release as you stop striving and start being. Your nervous system is listening to every signal you send. When you genuinely embody the version of yourself who already has what you desire, your brain begins rewiring itself around this new identity. New neural pathways form. Your subconscious mind starts filtering information differently. You're no longer broadcasting uncertainty, lack, or desperation. You're transmitting fulfillment, confidence, and gratitude. These are exactly the frequencies the quantum field responds to most powerfully. Step 3. Release control and trust the process. Here's the part that feels counterintuitive but creates the most dramatic results. Completely let go of controlling how your desired outcome manifests. Release your attachment to specific paths, methods, or timelines. Your job isn't to figure out the mechanics. Your job is to maintain your energetic alignment while the quantum field orchestrates all the details. Think of this like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check on its progress. You plant it, create the right conditions, and trust nature's intelligence to handle the growth. When you try to control the how, you're operating from the limited perspective of your conscious mind. But the quantum field has access to infinite intelligence and can arrange circumstances in ways your mind could never imagine. This is where surrender becomes your superpower. The moment you stop trying to force outcomes, you open yourself to possibilities beyond your current awareness. The reason this approach feels so foreign is that our entire society is built on the belief that effort equals results. We're taught to push, strive, and work harder to get what we want. But quantum manifestation operates on different principles entirely. The quantum field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to vibration. It doesn't move because you demand it. It aligns because you are aligned. Most people resist this because it challenges everything they've been conditioned to believe about achievement. But consider this, some of your most significant breakthroughs probably happened when you weren't trying so hard. They came in moments of relaxation, inspiration, or surrender. Here's how to integrate this into your daily life. Each morning before you get out of bed, take a few minutes to feel your chosen reality, not as future potential, but as present fact. Say to yourself, "I'm already living my ideal reality." But don't just think it, experience it fully. What would your day look like if you were already the version of yourself who has everything you desire? How would you move through the world? What decisions would feel natural and obvious? Feel this in your body for just a few minutes, then release it completely. This isn't about maintaining the feeling all day. It's about setting your frequency and then trusting throughout the day. When doubt creeps in, or when you catch yourself slipping back into wanting mode, simply remind yourself, it's already done. You don't need to recreate the entire experience. Just briefly reconnect with that certainty. Before sleep, practice what I call quantum gratitude. Instead of being grateful for what you hope will come, feel genuine appreciation for what already exists in your chosen reality. Thank the universe for the abundance you're already experiencing, the love that's already yours, the success that's already manifesting. This isn't fake gratitude. It's quantum gratitude. You're aligning with the timeline where these things are your natural reality. When you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of wanting or forcing, use this simple reset. Take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself, what would the version of me who already has this be feeling right now? Then embody that feeling for 30 seconds. That's it. You've just course-corrected your frequency. You might have experienced this already without realizing it. Remember a time when something amazing happened after you stopped trying so hard. That perfect job that appeared when you'd given up the search. The relationship that blossomed when you weren't actively looking. The solution that came when you stopped obsessing over the problem. That wasn't coincidence or luck. That was the quantum field responding to your energetic shift. When you moved from desperation to surrender, from needing to allowing, you changed your frequency. And the field responded by collapsing a different set of possibilities into your reality. The universe doesn't need your effort. It needs your frequency. It doesn't require your struggle. It requires your alignment. Here's something that might seem contradictory. The people who receive the most are often those who need the least. This isn't about being privileged or lucky. It's about understanding a fundamental quantum principle. When you need something desperately, you're vibrating from lack. When you want something casually but aren't attached to getting it, you're vibrating from abundance. The field responds to the vibration, not the circumstances. This is why wealthy people often attract more wealth easily, while those struggling with money find it harder to manifest abundance. It's not unfair. It's frequency. The wealthy person's relationship with money is already abundant, so they magnetize more abundance. But here's the empowering truth. You can shift your frequency regardless of your current circumstances. You can develop an abundant relationship with anything, love, health, success, simply by choosing to embody the version of yourself who already has it. Instead of visualizing your journey from where you are to where you want to be, start from your desired outcome and look backwards. Imagine you're already living your dream life, and you're reflecting on how you got there. From this future perspective, the path seems obvious and inevitable. This technique eliminates doubt because you're not hoping something will happen. You're remembering how it happened. Throughout your day, ask yourself, how would the version of me who already has this respond to this situation? Let that version of yourself guide your decisions, reactions, and energy. This isn't pretending to be someone you're not. It's accessing a version of yourself that already exists in the quantum field. Practice caring deeply about your desires, while being completely unattached to when or how they manifest. This paradox, intense desire with total detachment, creates the perfect conditions for quantum manifestation. Every outcome has a unique energy signature, a specific combination of thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. Spend time identifying the exact energy signature of your desired reality. What does confidence feel like in your body? How does abundance change your breathing? What thoughts naturally arise when you feel completely loved? Once you identify this signature, you can access it instantly, regardless of external circumstances. This becomes your quantum tuning fork, instantly aligning you with your chosen timeline. This is perhaps the most powerful technique. Make decisions throughout your day, as if you're already living your desired reality. If you were already successful, how would you approach that meeting? If you were already in a loving relationship, how would you treat yourself today? If you were already healthy, what choices would feel natural? You're not pretending, you're practicing being the version of yourself who already lives this reality. Here's something that will revolutionize your relationship with timing in the quantum field. Your desired outcome already exists. It's not coming to you, you're tuning into it. This means there's no waiting involved, only alignment. When you fully embody the reality you desire, the physical manifestation becomes inevitable. It might happen quickly, or it might unfold gradually, but it's no longer a question of if, only when and how. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing it to happen by a certain time, it often manifests faster than you ever imagined possible. Why do some manifestations happen instantly, while others take time? It's not about the complexity of what you're manifesting. It's about the clarity and consistency of your alignment. A person might manifest a parking space instantly because they have no resistance to receiving it. But they might struggle for years to manifest a relationship because they have deep beliefs about their worthiness of love. The speed of manifestation is determined by your level of internal coherence. The less resistance you have to receiving something, the faster it appears. This is why working on your beliefs and self-concept is so crucial. Not because you need to be perfect, but because clear channels allow faster flow. You'll know you're successfully embodying your desired reality when you feel calm and certain about your outcomes, even if you can't see how they'll happen. When opportunities and synchronicities start appearing naturally, when people begin treating you differently, as if something has shifted, when your external circumstances start rearranging themselves to match your new frequency, when you lose the desperate need for things to happen immediately, when decision-making becomes easier because you naturally choose from your new identity. The difference between someone who manifests consistently and someone who struggles often comes down to one fundamental understanding. You don't manifest by reaching for what you want. You manifest by becoming who you already are in the reality where you have it. Every master manifestor understands this secret. They don't chase their desires. They choose their outcomes. They don't try to convince the universe to give them what they want. They align with the version of reality where they already have it. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization tricks. This is about understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself and working with quantum principles rather than against them. Most of society operates from the old paradigm. Work hard, struggle, earn your way to success. But quantum manifestation operates from a completely different paradigm. Align, embody, receive. This doesn't mean you won't take action, but your actions will come from inspiration rather than desperation, from alignment rather than anxiety. When you're truly embodying your desired reality, the right actions become obvious and effortless. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, saying the right things to the right people. This isn't coincidence. It's coherence in action. Making this shift requires a commitment, not to working harder, but to being more aligned. It's a commitment to catching yourself when you slip into old patterns of wanting and forcing, and gently redirecting yourself back to embodiment. It's a commitment to trusting the process even when you can't see immediate results. It's a commitment to maintaining your frequency regardless of external circumstances. Most importantly, it's a commitment to your own transformation. Because when you truly master quantum manifestation, you don't just get what you want. You become who you're meant to be. Stop chasing. Start choosing. Stop wanting. Start being. Stop forcing. Start allowing. Stop hoping. Start knowing. Stop becoming. Start being. Your dream future isn't something far away that you need to work toward. It already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And right now, in this moment, you're beginning to tune into its frequency. The quantum field has been waiting for you to remember this truth. It's been waiting for you to stop looking outside yourself for what can only be found within. It's been waiting for you to claim your power as the conscious observer who collapses infinite possibilities into concrete reality. As you integrate this understanding, remember that you're not just learning a new technique. You're remembering an ancient truth about the nature of consciousness and reality. You're stepping into your role as a quantum creator, someone who shapes reality through the power of aligned observation. This is your invitation to stop living as if you're separate from what you desire, and start embodying the truth that you and your desired reality are one. In the quantum field, there is no separation, no distance, no waiting, only the infinite possibilities of now. The quantum field doesn't respond to anxiety. It responds to alignment. The universe isn't waiting for you to do more. It's waiting for you to be more. Your dream reality is not somewhere out there. It's right here, right now, waiting for you to choose it. What if I told you that everything you've learned about manifestation is not just wrong, it's actively working against you? Right now, millions of people are trapped in an exhausting cycle of visualization marathons, endless affirmations, and complex manifestation rituals that leave them more frustrated than when they started. They're working harder than ever, but getting nowhere because they're swimming upstream against the very forces they're trying to harness. Here's what nobody wants to admit. There's a secret hiding in plain sight. A method so elegantly simple that 99% of people dismiss it as too easy. Yet it's the only approach that actually works with quantum physics instead of fighting against it. It's like discovering that instead of trying to push a massive boulder up a mountain, there was a hidden path around it all along. Picture this scenario. You're desperately trying to tune into your favorite radio station, but instead of simply adjusting the dial, you're screaming at the radio, pleading with it, promising it things, even hitting it occasionally. That's exactly what most manifestation techniques are doing to your relationship with the quantum field. The universe isn't deaf to your desires. You're just broadcasting on completely the wrong frequency. Let me paint a picture of what's really happening in the quantum realm while you're busy manifesting. Every single moment of your existence, infinite possibilities are floating around you in what scientists call superposition. Your dream life, your current struggles, abundance, scarcity, love, loneliness, health, illness, all of these realities exist simultaneously as probability waves, waiting for something to collapse them into your actual experience. That something isn't your vision board collecting dust on your wall. It's not the affirmations you mumble half-heartedly in the mirror each morning. It's not even the intense visualization sessions where you try to force yourself to feel emotions you don't actually feel. What collapses these probability waves into your reality is something far more subtle and infinitely more powerful. Your energetic signature, the frequency you're unconsciously broadcasting every second of every day through your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and most importantly, through the cellular memory stored in your body. Here's the shocking truth that will change everything for you. You're already a manifestation master. You've been perfectly creating experiences that match your internal frequency your entire life. Every relationship, every opportunity, every challenge, every disappointment, all of it has been a precise reflection of your energetic broadcast. The problem isn't that you don't know how to manifest. The challenge is that you've been manifesting unconsciously, and now you need to learn how to do it deliberately. Think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, while others struggle despite working twice as hard? Have you observed how certain individuals naturally draw loving relationships, while others keep attracting the same painful patterns? This isn't luck, privilege, or cosmic favoritism. It's frequency matching at work. The quantum field is an incredibly precise mirror, reflecting back exactly what you're broadcasting, not what you think you're broadcasting. Most people approach manifestation like they're trying to break down a reinforced steel door with their bare hands. They've been conditioned to believe that more effort automatically equals better results, so they throw themselves into their practice with the intensity of a warrior heading into battle. They force visualizations while their stomach churns with anxiety about whether it's working. They repeat affirmations that their inner critic immediately contradicts with a running commentary of doubt. They take massive action from a place of desperate need, checking their progress obsessively every few hours like a farmer digging up seeds to see if they're growing. This approach creates what I call manifestation static, a chaotic mix of conflicting signals that confuse the quantum field rather than guide it. You're essentially trying to order a gourmet meal at a restaurant while simultaneously screaming, "I'm starving, I'm desperate, please just give me anything." The universe hears the desperation and hunger, not the specific order you placed. It responds to your dominant frequency, which in this case is lack and need, so it gives you more experiences of lacking and needing. The breakthrough insight that changes everything is this. The quantum field responds to harmony, not volume. It mirrors coherence, not chaos. It's attracted to the steady, consistent signal of someone who knows what they want and feels worthy of receiving it, not the frantic broadcasts of someone trying to convince themselves they deserve good things. Now, here's something that most manifestation teachers will never tell you, because it requires you to go deeper than surface-level techniques. You're not just broadcasting one signal to the universe. You're actually broadcasting 3 distinct signals simultaneously, and the quantum field reads all of them at once. The first layer is your conscious mind, the voice in your head that says things like, "I am abundant and successful," or "I attract loving relationships easily." This is the layer most people focus on, because it's the most obvious and the easiest to control. You can change your thoughts with conscious effort, so this is where most manifestation work begins and unfortunately ends. The second layer is your emotional body, what you're actually feeling beneath those carefully crafted thoughts. While your mind might be repeating prosperity affirmations, your emotional body might be churning with anxiety about paying rent, fear about not being good enough, or shame about past failures. This emotional layer carries much more energetic weight than your thoughts. Because emotions are energy in motion, they're the fuel that gives your thoughts power. The third and most powerful layer is your cellular memory, the patterns and programs stored in your body from past experiences, traumas, cultural conditioning, and even ancestral patterns. This is where your deepest beliefs about yourself and the world live, often completely below conscious awareness. Your cellular memory holds programs like money is hard to come by, I'm not worthy of love, or the world is a dangerous place. And these programs broadcast continuously, even while you sleep. Here's the crucial part. When these three layers are misaligned, the quantum field responds to the strongest signal, which is almost always your cellular memory. This is why someone can think positively about wealth for months, while their body stores deep poverty consciousness from childhood, and the field keeps reflecting back financial struggle. It's why someone can affirm self-love, while their nervous system remains programmed for rejection, and they keep attracting unavailable partners. The outer thoughts can't override the inner programming. The magic happens when all three layers begin to sing the same song, when your thoughts, emotions, and cellular memory align into one coherent broadcast. This is what I call quantum coherence, and it's the state where manifestation becomes effortless, because you're no longer working against yourself. But let's go even deeper into the science of why this matters. Quantum physics reveals something extraordinary about the nature of reality. Everything exists in potential until it's observed. But here's the twist that changes everything. You're not just observing with your conscious mind. Your unconscious mind is observing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, constantly collapsing possibilities into experiences based on its programming from the past. Let me give you a real-world example that will make this crystal clear. Imagine you consciously desire a loving, committed relationship. You create vision boards. You visualize your perfect partner. You even go on dates and put yourself out there. But unconsciously, based on past hurts and disappointments, you expect rejection. Your unconscious mind, which controls about 95% of your daily experience, becomes the primary observer, constantly selecting timeline after timeline of almost relationships. It's complicated situations and partners who are emotionally unavailable, not because the universe is cruel or testing you, but because it's being perfectly accurate in reflecting your deepest expectations. Your nervous system is literally predicting your future based on your past experiences, then creating situations that confirm those predictions. It's like having a GPS that's permanently locked on previous destinations, while you're consciously trying to reach somewhere completely new. No matter how hard you try to go forward, the system keeps taking you back to familiar territory, because that's what it's programmed to do. This is where understanding your nervous system becomes absolutely crucial to successful manifestation. Your manifestation speed is directly proportional to your nervous system's sense of safety. When you're operating from chronic stress, hypervigilance, or survival mode, your brain literally cannot access the neural networks associated with creativity, abundance, and possibility. You're stuck in what neuroscientists call the default mode network, autopilot patterns based on past experiences and fears about the future. But when your nervous system feels genuinely safe, everything changes. Your muscles relax, your breathing deepens, your heart rate variability increases, and your brain comes online in a completely different way. You gain access to what scientists call the ventral vagal state, a neurological condition where you feel calm, connected, and open to possibility. In this state, you can literally perceive opportunities and solutions that were invisible to you just moments before. This is why the most powerful manifestors often seem so calm and grounded. They're not forcing or straining. They've learned to regulate their nervous system first, and manifestation becomes a natural byproduct of that inner safety and coherence. They understand that you cannot create from a place of fear what you truly desire, because fear and desire operate on completely different frequencies. The practical implication of this understanding is profound and will revolutionize your entire approach. Before you try to manifest anything external, you must create internal safety. This might mean finally healing stored trauma through somatic practices, learning nervous system regulation techniques like breath work or meditation, or developing what I call energetic hygiene. Daily practices that clear the accumulated stress, doubt, and fear that builds up from living in a world that often promotes scarcity thinking. Energetic hygiene is just as important as physical hygiene, yet most people completely ignore it. Just as you brush your teeth daily to prevent decay, you need regular practices to prevent energetic decay. This involves three essential components that work together synergistically. First, there's energetic clearing, which means consciously releasing the emotional residue from your day. This could be through breath work, where you literally breathe out tension and breathe in peace. It could be through movement, dancing, or shaking to discharge stuck energy. It could be as simple as placing your hands on your heart and allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions are present without trying to change them, just acknowledging them and letting them flow through you. Second, there's frequency tuning, which involves deliberately choosing thoughts and emotions that align with your desired reality, even if only for a few minutes each day. This isn't about forcing positivity or bypassing difficult emotions. It's about consciously practicing the feeling states you want to become familiar with. If you want abundance, you practice feeling prosperous. If you want love, you practice feeling worthy and open-hearted. If you want health, you practice feeling vital and alive. Third, there's field protection, which means being mindful of what energies you allow into your space. This includes the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the environments you spend time in. If you're constantly consuming news that promotes fear, surrounding yourself with people who complain and gossip, or spending time in chaotic environments, you're essentially polluting your energetic field and making coherent manifestation much more difficult. When you maintain good energetic hygiene, your signal to the quantum field becomes cleaner and more consistent. You're no longer broadcasting mixed messages or carrying energetic debris that confuses your manifestation process. Your system becomes like a finely tuned instrument, capable of playing the exact frequency you choose, rather than whatever random notes happen to emerge from accumulated stress and conditioning. Now let's talk about the art of embodiment, because this is where most people completely miss the mark. Traditional manifestation teachings say, think it, then you'll see it. But quantum manifestation operates on a completely different principle. Become it, then you'll live it. This means practicing the emotions and behaviors of your desired reality before it manifests in physical form. Not as a technique or a method, but as a way of being, a lifestyle, an identity shift. For abundance, this means practicing feeling prosperous right now, today, regardless of your current bank balance. It means treating yourself with the generosity you would show if you were wealthy. It means making decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. It means noticing how differently you move through the world when you feel wealthy versus when you feel broke. The way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you interact with others, the choices you make throughout the day. For love, this means practicing loving yourself right now, today, regardless of your relationship status. It means opening your heart, becoming more vulnerable, treating yourself with kindness and compassion. It means becoming the kind of partner you want to attract, emotionally available, communicative, affectionate, supportive. It means stopping the search for completion in others and starting to live as though you're already whole and complete exactly as you are. For health, this means practicing feeling vital and alive right now, today, regardless of your current physical condition. It means listening to your body with care rather than criticism. It means moving your body from joy rather than punishment. It means seeing your body as a trusted ally and wise teacher rather than an enemy to be controlled or fixed. It means making choices that honor your well-being because you believe you're worth caring for. This embodiment practice fundamentally rewires your nervous system and cellular memory, because your body can't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual experiences. When you consistently practice the feeling states of your desired reality, you're literally creating new neural pathways and new cellular programs that support that reality instead of your current circumstances. Here's a powerful technique that accelerates this rewiring process dramatically. Instead of visualizing what you want as something in the future, practice remembering your desired future as if it's already happened. This is what I call the art of future memory, and it's one of the most potent manifestation tools available. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day recalling your dream life with all your senses fully engaged. What do you see when you wake up in your ideal reality? What sounds surround you throughout your perfect day? How does your body feel when you're living this life? What emotions are present in your chest, your heart, your entire being? What does success taste like? What does love smell like? What does abundance feel like on your skin? The key is to engage this practice as memory, not imagination. Instead of saying, I will have or I want, you remember I experienced and I felt. Your brain has a difficult time distinguishing between vivid imagination and actual memory, especially when all the senses are involved. When you practice future memory consistently, your unconscious mind begins encoding this desired reality as actual experience, then naturally guides your decisions, actions, and attention toward making it real in physical form. This process works because of something called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new neural connections throughout your life. Every time you practice future memory, you're strengthening the neural pathways associated with your desired reality, while weakening the pathways associated with your current limitations. Over time, your brain literally becomes wired to support your dreams rather than your fears. But here's where most people sabotage themselves without realizing it. They fall into what I call the monitoring trap. This is the fastest way to block manifestation and keep yourself stuck in the energy of lack and need. The monitoring trap happens when you become obsessed with checking for progress, looking for signs, measuring results, and analyzing whether your manifestation is working. When you visualize wealth, but then anxiously check your bank balance every few hours, you're broadcasting doubt, not abundance. When you affirm love, but then frantically scan dating apps or analyze every text message for hidden meaning, you're transmitting desperation, not worthiness. When you imagine perfect health, but then obsessively monitor your body for symptoms or problems, you're focused on illness, not wellness. This constant monitoring sends a clear message to the quantum field. I don't actually have this yet, and I'm worried it's not coming. The field, being the perfect mirror that it is, responds to that energy of not having and worrying by giving you more experiences of not having and more reasons to worry. Here's the paradox that changes everything. The moment you stop desperately needing something, the field becomes free to deliver it to you. Not because the universe is testing your patience or playing games with you, but because you're no longer energetically blocking the flow with the frequency of need and desperation. Think about the times in your life when something wonderful manifested effortlessly. Maybe you met the perfect person when you weren't looking for love. Maybe a great opportunity appeared when you weren't desperately job hunting. Maybe money showed up when you had finally relaxed about your finances. What was the common element in all these experiences? You weren't grasping, straining, or monitoring. You were relaxed, open, and available. That's quantum manifestation in its purest form. The key is learning to hold what I call relaxed intention. This means being crystal clear about what you want while remaining completely unattached to when and how it shows up. It means caring deeply about your desires while not making your happiness dependent on them manifesting quickly or in a specific way. It means maintaining the frequency of your dream while being perfectly content with your current reality. This might sound contradictory, but it's actually the sweet spot where manifestation accelerates. When you can honestly say, I would love for this to happen, and I'm also perfectly okay if it doesn't happen exactly as I imagine, you've found the frequency of trust. And trust is the most magnetic frequency in the quantum field. Let's make this practical with a daily practice that integrates everything we've discussed. Every morning, before reaching for your phone or getting caught up in the demands of the day, take a few conscious breaths and ask yourself, what frequency am I selecting today? Feel into the energy of that choice. Are you choosing the timeline of stress and struggle, or the timeline of ease and flow? Are you selecting the frequency of lack and limitation, or abundance and possibility? Throughout the day, use your body as your compass and your guide. Your body will always signal when you've shifted out of alignment with your desired frequency. You'll feel the tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, the contraction in your stomach, the shallowness of your breath. In those moments, you don't need to judge yourself or panic about ruining your manifestation. You simply need to notice, breathe, and gently recalibrate. Ask yourself, what would the version of me, already living my desired reality, choose right now? Then take one small action from that space. It might be as simple as changing your posture, taking a deeper breath, or speaking to yourself with more kindness. It might mean making a different choice about what you eat, how you respond to a challenging email, or where you focus your attention for the next few minutes. At night, before you fall asleep, review your day not with criticism or judgment, but with genuine curiosity and compassion. Where did you wobble out of alignment? Where did you catch yourself and recalibrate? Where did you glimpse your own power to choose your frequency? Celebrate even the smallest victories, because gratitude amplifies coherence and magnetizes more experiences to be grateful for. This daily practice of frequency selection, body awareness, and gentle course correction gradually trains your nervous system to default to your desired frequency rather than your old conditioning. Over time, what once required conscious effort becomes automatic. You begin to naturally operate from the frequency of your dreams rather than your fears. Here's something that most people overlook completely: the profound importance of community in your manifestation journey. We are inherently social and energetic beings, designed to synchronize with the people around us. Mirror neurons in our brains automatically mimic the emotional states and behaviors of those we spend time with. When you surround yourself with people who are practicing coherence, working with the quantum field, and committed to conscious creation, your nervous system naturally attunes to that vibration. This is why it's so crucial to curate your environment intentionally, not just physically, but energetically. Seek out voices, spaces, and communities that remind you of who you're becoming rather than who you've been. Fill your field with reminders of your chosen timeline. Let your external world support your internal practice rather than undermining it. If you're constantly surrounded by people who complain, gossip, or operate from scarcity consciousness, you'll find yourself being pulled back into those frequencies, no matter how strong your personal practice is. This doesn't mean you need to abandon everyone in your life who isn't on a spiritual path, but it does mean being conscious about the energies you're exposing yourself to and creating strong boundaries when necessary. Look for people who inspire you, who embody qualities you want to develop, who speak about possibilities rather than limitations. Read books, watch videos, and listen to content that expands your sense of what's possible rather than confirming your current limitations. Create a supportive environment that makes it easier to maintain your desired frequency and harder to fall back into old patterns. Now let's explore something that will completely revolutionize your understanding of manifestation: the recognition that you are not separate from the quantum field you're trying to influence. You are not a small, isolated being trying to manipulate a vast external universe. You are an integral part of the field itself, a unique expression of the same creative intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and grows flowers. This understanding shifts manifestation from a transaction with an external force to a collaboration with your own deeper nature. You're not trying to get the universe to give you something, you're allowing the universe to express itself through you in new ways. You're not manipulating reality from the outside, you're participating in reality's ongoing creation from the inside. When you truly grasp this, everything changes. Instead of feeling like a small, powerless person, hoping the universe will notice your requests, you recognize yourself as a creative force of nature, temporarily focused in human form. Your desires aren't random wants or selfish demands. They're the universe's way of expanding itself through your individual experience. This perspective transforms the entire manifestation process from effort to ease, from forcing to flowing, from demanding to allowing. You stop trying to make things happen and start letting things happen through you. You become a conduit for creation rather than a controller of outcomes. Every desire that arises within you is actually an invitation from your soul to grow into a larger version of yourself. The relationship you want calls you to become more loving, more open, more vulnerable. The business you dream of creating calls you to become more innovative, more courageous, more willing to serve others. The health you desire calls you to become more connected to your body, more committed to your well-being, more honoring of the life force flowing through you. When you view manifestation through this lens, success isn't just about getting your desires met, it's about who you become in the process. And often, who you become is far more valuable and fulfilling than what you initially thought you wanted. This perspective transforms manifestation from a superficial acquisition process into a profound evolutionary journey. The quantum field is not a cosmic vending machine waiting for the right combination of thoughts and feelings. It's a living, intelligent, responsive partner in the dance of creation. It's not separate from you, it is you, expressing itself as your life, your experiences, your relationships, your opportunities, your challenges, and your growth. So when you tune your frequency, you're not asking life to meet you somewhere new, you're becoming the version of life you've been seeking. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you're not manipulating external circumstances. You're allowing your true nature to express itself more fully. This is the deepest secret of quantum manifestation. You are not manifesting from outside the field. You are the field manifesting as you. When you align with this truth, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing, as effortless as being yourself, as inevitable as the sunrise. Your role is not to force outcomes or control timing. Your role is to become so aligned with your desires that you naturally attract experiences that match your frequency. Your job is to embody the qualities and characteristics of your dream life so completely that the field has no choice but to reflect that back to you in physical form. The path forward is breathtakingly simple, which is why most people miss it entirely. Release the need to control outcomes and focus completely on managing your internal state. Stop trying to manifest what you want and start practicing being who you need to become to naturally attract it. Let go of the timeline and trust the timing. Release the specific details and trust the intelligence of the field to deliver something even better than you imagined. Your desires aren't random, they're intelligence itself, calling you toward your highest expression. The quantum field isn't testing you, it's supporting you. The universe isn't withholding from you, it's waiting for you to become a clear enough signal that it can respond without confusion. The question isn't whether this works. The question is, are you ready to stop fighting the current and start flowing with the river of infinite possibility that's been waiting for you all along? Are you willing to trust that the same force that creates galaxies and seasons can handle the details of your dreams? Are you prepared to become the frequency of what you desire and let the field handle the how and when? In this moment, as you absorb these words, something is already shifting within you. Your nervous system is beginning to remember what it feels like to be aligned. Your cellular memory is starting to release old patterns that no longer serve you. Your quantum field is responding to the coherence you're creating right now, simply by being open to this information. The field is listening to your frequency in this very moment. Your attention on these ideas is already a vote for the reality you want to experience. Every moment of alignment, every breath of coherence, every choice to embody your desired frequency is rippling out into the quantum field and drawing experiences that match that vibration back to you. You are not broken and needing to be fixed. You are not lacking and needing to acquire. You are a perfect expression of infinite creative potential, temporarily focused in human form, learning to consciously participate in the ongoing creation of reality itself. Your manifestation journey is not about getting something you don't have. It's about remembering and expressing who you've always been. The time for struggle is over. The time for force is complete. The time for effortless creation has arrived. Welcome to your quantum awakening. Welcome to the remembering of your true power. Welcome home to yourself. What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this, you're broadcasting a signal to the universe, not through your words, not through your actions, but through something far more powerful, your state of being. And here's what will shock you. Most people are broadcasting the exact opposite of what they want. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal a secret so simple that your mind will reject it at first. But once you understand it, once you truly get it, your entire reality will shift. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to effortlessly attract what they want while others struggle and strain for years without results? Have you ever wondered why two people with the same knowledge, same circumstances, can have completely different outcomes? The answer will disturb you and liberate you at the same time. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning and discover that your bedroom wall has become a giant mirror. But this isn't an ordinary mirror. It reflects not your physical appearance, but your inner state. What would you see staring back at you? Would you see confidence or doubt, abundance or lack, peace or anxiety, love or loneliness? This isn't just imagination. This is exactly how your world works right now. Your external reality is nothing more than a perfect reflection of your inner state. I call this the fundamental law of consciousness. As within, so without. Every person in your life, every circumstance you encounter, every opportunity that comes or doesn't come, all of it is a mirror reflecting back your dominant state of consciousness. The wealthy person isn't wealthy because they have money. They have money because they embody the state of wealth. The loved person isn't loved because they're special. They're special because they live in the state of being loved. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most people get it completely wrong. They try to change the mirror instead of changing what's being reflected. Let me tell you about Maria, a single mother working 2 jobs just to pay rent. Every morning, she'd look in the mirror and see exhaustion. Every evening, she'd collapse into bed feeling defeated. Her inner state, pure survival mode. Maria lived in constant fear. Fear of not having enough money. Fear of losing her job. Fear of failing her daughter. And guess what her reality reflected back? More reasons to be afraid. Bill collectors calling, car breaking down, getting passed over for promotions. But then something extraordinary happened. Maria discovered what I'm teaching to you too, that imagination is not fantasy, it's the workshop of reality itself. The change didn't happen overnight. For weeks, Maria struggled with the concept. How can I imagine being wealthy when I can barely pay rent? She asked herself. But then she understood. She wasn't trying to deny her current circumstances. She was learning to live from the end result. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios, which she'd been doing unconsciously for years, Maria began to live from the end. Every night before sleep, she wouldn't just wish for a better life. She would enter the state of already having it. She'd feel the satisfaction of financial freedom. She'd experience the joy of watching her daughter graduate college without debt. She'd inhabit the feeling of being successful, not tomorrow, but now. She'd fall asleep in that state, impressing her subconscious mind with the reality of her fulfilled desires. The first week, nothing changed externally. The second week, a customer at her coffee shop mentioned a business opportunity. The third week, she met someone who became a mentor. 6 months later, she was managing 3 coffee shops. 18 months after that, she owned them. The secret, she stopped trying to change her circumstances and started changing her state. But there's something even deeper here that will transform how you see everything. And it has to do with why most people fail at manifestation. Here's the truth. Nobody wants to hear. Most people aren't manifesting what they want. They're manifesting what they fear. They spend their days worrying about what might go wrong, imagining worst-case scenarios, and then they wonder why their lives feel like a series of problems. The world is yourself pushed out. Every fear you entertain, every doubt you nurture, every worry you rehearse, it's all being broadcast to your subconscious mind, which then works tirelessly to make it real. Think about it. How much time do you spend each day imagining things going wrong versus imagining them going right? Be honest, most people spend 90% of their mental energy on what they don't want and 10% on what they do want. Then they're surprised when their life reflects that ratio. But here's what will change everything for you and what nobody tells you about manifestation. The harder you grip, the faster it slips away. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it escapes through your fingers. I learned this lesson the hard way. Years ago, I was desperate for a specific outcome. I visualized constantly, affirmed endlessly, and fought against every doubt that arose. I was doing everything right according to the books I'd read, but nothing was happening. In fact, things were getting worse. Then I discovered the law of assumption. Assumption isn't forcing or demanding. It's a quiet knowing, a gentle certainty that what you desire is already yours. Think about breathing. You don't force air into your lungs, you simply allow it. You don't struggle to make your heart beat. It beats because that's its nature. This is the state you must cultivate with your desires. The more desperately you want something, the more you're affirming that you don't have it. The more you need it to happen, the more you're living in the state of lack. But when you assume it's already yours, when you rest in that knowing, you're living from the end, and that's where the magic happens. But here's where most people sabotage themselves, and once you know this, you'll never make the same mistake again. It has to do with the secret conversation you're having with yourself all day long. Right now, as you're listening this, there's a voice in your head. It's commenting on these words, agreeing or disagreeing, remembering related experiences. This inner dialogue never stops. It runs from the moment you wake up until you fall asleep. And here's what will shock you. This internal conversation is creating your reality more powerfully than any visualization technique or affirmation practice ever could. I call this the secret of the soul. What you say to yourself about yourself and your world is what you manifest, not what you say out loud, not what you write in your journal, but what you say in the privacy of your own mind. Most people's internal dialogue sounds like this. I hope this works out. I can't afford that. Things like this don't happen to people like me. I'll believe it when I see it. But the person who manifests effortlessly has a completely different internal conversation. Everything always works out for me. I have more than enough. Good things happen to me all the time. I see it because I believe it. Most people live from their current circumstances, always looking toward their desires as something out there to be attained. They say things like, when I get the money, then I'll feel abundant. Or when I find love, then I'll feel worthy. But I taught you to collapse time and space through imagination. Live from the end. Feel now what you would feel if your desire were already fulfilled. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. Robert was a struggling actor who had been auditioning for years without success. He was living from his current circumstances, feeling rejected, unworthy, and unsuccessful. Every audition confirmed his fears. Then Robert learned about living from the end. Instead of going to auditions hoping to book a role, he started going to auditions from the state of being a successful actor. He felt the confidence, the worthiness, the knowing that he belonged on that stage. The change was immediate. Casting directors started noticing something different about him. Within 3 months, he booked his first major role. Within a year, he was working consistently. The external circumstances followed the internal state. Tonight, before you sleep, don't pray for what you want. Give thanks for what you already have in imagination. Feel the reality of your fulfilled desire. If you want love, feel loved. If you want success, feel successful. If you want peace, be peaceful. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one. When you consistently live from the end, you're literally programming your reality. Modern neuroscience confirms this theory. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, a network of neurons that acts as a filter, determining what information gets through to your conscious awareness. When you live from the end, when you assume your desire is already fulfilled, you program this system to notice opportunities, people, and circumstances that align with that assumption. Suddenly, the right people start showing up in your life. The perfect opportunities present themselves. It's not magic, it's neuroscience working in harmony with consciousness. There's a specific way to do this that most people miss, and it's the difference between occasional success and consistent manifestation. Your mind is like a garden. Every thought you think is a seed. Most people plant weeds all day long, worries, doubts, fears, and then wonder why their life looks like chaos. You are what you are by virtue of the state of consciousness from which you think, feel, and act. This means every moment is a choice point. Every thought is either moving you toward your desire or away from it. But here's what most people don't understand. Mental discipline isn't about suppressing negative thoughts. It's about becoming aware of them and consciously choosing different ones. Let me tell you about Jennifer, a woman who wanted to start her own business but was paralyzed by fear. Her mind was constantly filled with thoughts like, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if people judge me? Instead of fighting these thoughts, Jennifer learned to observe them and redirect. When she caught herself thinking, what if I fail? She would gently redirect to, what if I succeed beyond my wildest dreams? When she noticed I don't have enough money, she would shift to, I have everything I need to begin. This wasn't positive thinking. This was conscious creation. She was deliberately choosing the thoughts that aligned with her desired outcome. This daily practice will change everything for you. Each morning, before your feet hit the floor, spend 10 minutes living in your ideal reality. Feel it, inhabit it, become it. This isn't daydreaming, this is reality construction. But here's the crucial part. Carry that feeling with you throughout the day. When doubt creeps in, and it will, don't fight it. Simply return to your scene. Return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Athletes have known this secret for decades. They visualize perfect performances, and their bodies respond as if they've actually practiced those movements. You can do the same with your desires. If you want to give a successful presentation, rehearse it mentally first. Feel the confidence, hear the applause, experience the satisfaction of a job well done. If you want to have a difficult conversation, rehearse it going perfectly. Feel the mutual understanding, the resolution, the love. Your subconscious mind will then orchestrate circumstances to match your mental rehearsal. This leads us to the most misunderstood aspect of manifestation, the role of time. What I'm about to share will completely change how you approach your desires. I spoke of the bridge of incidents, the seemingly random events that connect your current reality to your desired one. Your job isn't to figure out how your desire will manifest. Your job is to maintain the state and trust the process. This is where most people get stuck. They want to control the how, the when, the where. They want to micromanage the universe. But when you try to control the method, you often block the miracle. Let me share a powerful story about this. Amanda had been trying to manifest her dream job for months. She applied to specific companies, networked relentlessly, and visualized getting hired by particular organizations. Nothing was working. Then she learned about the bridge of incidents. Instead of focusing on specific companies, she began to live in the state of having her dream job. She felt the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the joy of doing work she loved. 2 weeks later, she got into an elevator with a stranger. They struck up a conversation. It turned out this person was launching a new company and was looking for someone with Amanda's exact skills. She had her dream job within a month. The bridge of incidents had connected her desire to her reality in a way she never could have planned or orchestrated. There are 3 types of bridges. People bridges. The right person appears at the right time with the right opportunity. Circumstance bridges. Events unfold in a way that creates the perfect opportunity for your desire to manifest. And inner bridges. You develop new skills, insights, or clarity that naturally leads to your desire. And there's one more element that most people completely overlook, and it might be the most important factor in your manifestation success. The self-help industry doesn't want you to know that you can visualize perfectly, affirm consistently, and take massive action. But if your emotions aren't aligned with your desire, you'll get mixed results at best. You need to understand this deeply, because feeling is the secret, not just any feeling, but the specific feeling that would be natural to you if your desire were already fulfilled. Most people try to manufacture positive emotions or suppress negative ones. But manifestation isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being emotionally congruent with your desire. If you want wealth, but feel guilty about money, you'll sabotage yourself. If you want love, but feel unworthy of it, you'll push it away. If you want success, but fear judgment, you'll stay small. Take a moment right now to think about your biggest desire. Now notice what emotions come up. Excitement, fear, doubt, unworthiness. These emotions are clues to what you really believe about your desire. The goal isn't to eliminate negative emotions, it's to transform them. Fear can become excitement. Doubt can become curiosity. Unworthiness can become gratitude for growth. This brings us to perhaps the most powerful technique I can teach you, and it's something you can start using tonight. The revision technique. This is something revolutionary. You can change your past, not the facts, but the meaning. And when you change the meaning of your past, you change your future. Every night before sleep, revise your day. Did someone treat you poorly? Revise it. Imagine them treating you with respect. Did you fail at something? Revise it. See yourself succeeding. Did you have a difficult conversation? Revise it to go smoothly. This isn't self-deception. This is reality editing. You're changing the story you tell yourself about who you are. And that story becomes your reality. But revision goes deeper than just editing your day. You can revise your entire past. Those childhood experiences that left you feeling unworthy, revise them. See yourself being celebrated and valued. Those failures that still haunt you, revise them into learning experiences that made you stronger. Every time you remember something, you're not just recalling it, you're actually recreating it in your brain. Each memory is reconstructed based on your current state of consciousness. This means your past isn't fixed. It's fluid, constantly being rewritten based on who you are now. When you consciously revise your memories, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways that support your desired reality. I used to carry a story about being rejected in high school that affected my confidence for years. Every time I faced potential rejection, that old story would surface and I'd sabotage myself. Then I learned about revision. I went back to that high school experience and rewrote it. I imagined being accepted, celebrated, valued. I felt what it would have felt like to belong. At first it felt strange, almost like lying to myself. But I persisted, and something remarkable happened. My confidence began to return. I started taking risks I'd avoided for years. New opportunities opened up. The external facts hadn't changed, but the meaning had. And that new meaning created a new reality. But there's one more secret that ties everything together, and it's hiding in plain sight in the most famous manifestation story ever told. It's been discovered that the Bible isn't a historical document, it's a psychological manual for manifestation. Every story, every character, every miracle is actually describing states of consciousness and how they create reality. Take the story of Jesus walking on water. Most people see this as a supernatural miracle, but it was revealed as a metaphor for rising above the sea of mass consciousness. When you live from the end, when you assume your desire is already fulfilled, you're walking on water, you're moving through life unaffected by external circumstances. Or consider the story of Moses parting the Red Sea. The Red Sea represents obstacles and limitations. When you truly believe in your desire, when you live from the end, the obstacles part before you, not through force, but through faith. Jesus said, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Notice the tense, have received, not will receive. This is living from the end. This is praying from the place of already having what you desire. Most people pray from lack, begging for what they don't have. But the prayer of faith gives thanks for what is already fulfilled in imagination. And this understanding leads us to the most practical application of these principles, and it's something you can implement starting today. Tomorrow morning, I want you to try something different. Before you check your phone, before you think about your problems, before you remember your limitations, spend just 10 minutes living in your desired reality. Don't just visualize it, live it. Feel what you would feel. Think what you would think. Move how you would move. Speak how you would speak. If you desire wealth, feel wealthy. How does a wealthy person start their day? With gratitude, with confidence, with certainty about their value. If you desire love, feel loved. How does a beloved person wake up? With warmth, with security, with appreciation for life. This isn't pretending, this is becoming. You're not trying to convince yourself of something false. You're remembering something true, the truth of who you really are beneath all the limitations you've accepted. Each evening, before sleep, conduct a review of your day. But not just any review, a selective review. Focus only on the moments that align with your desired reality. If someone complimented you, replay it. If something went well, re-experience it. If you felt confident, magnify that feeling. What about the negative experiences? Don't suppress them, revise them. See them playing out differently. Feel different emotions about them. Transform them into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. There is no one to change but self. Every person in your world, every circumstance you encounter, every experience you have is a reflection of your state of consciousness. This isn't just spiritual philosophy, it's practical psychology. When you change your state, you change what you attract. When you change what you attract, you change your world. The person who treated you poorly, they're reflecting back your own sense of unworthiness. The opportunity that passed you by, it's showing you where you don't yet believe in your value. The love that eludes you, it's waiting for you to love yourself first. This might be hard to accept, but it's also incredibly liberating. It means you're not at the mercy of external circumstances. You're the operant power in your world. You get to choose. Here's the final practice. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to do something that might feel uncomfortable at first. I want you to take full responsibility for everything in your life, the good, the bad, and the neutral. Not blame, but responsibility. Say to yourself, I am the author of my experience. Everything in my world is a reflection of my consciousness. If I want to change my world, I must change myself. Then, from that place of total responsibility, imagine your life exactly as you want it to be. Feel the fulfillment of your deepest desires. Know that as you fall asleep in that state, you're impressing your subconscious mind with a new pattern. The choice is yours. You now have the keys to the kingdom. You understand that imagination creates reality. That living from the end changes everything. That your state of consciousness is the true cause of your external world. The question isn't whether these principles work. They're working right now, whether you're conscious of them or not. The question is, will you use them deliberately to create the life you want, or will you continue to create by default? Every moment is a new beginning. Every thought is a new choice. Every feeling is a new direction. You don't have to wait for conditions to change. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for worthiness. You can start now. You can start here. You can start with the very next thought you think and the very next feeling you feel. Remember, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. Your job isn't to figure out how it will happen. Your job is to assume it has already happened and then let life surprise you with the methods. The power isn't in the technique, it's in you. It always has been. These principles simply help you remember what you already know. You are the creator of your experience. If you apply these principles consistently, if you make living from the end your natural state, if you revise your past and script your future through imagination, your life will change. Not gradually, but dramatically. Not someday, but soon. Your desires aren't wishes, they're prophecies. They're showing you who you're becoming. Trust them. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Thank you for being here today. If this resonates with you, if you feel the truth of these words stirring something within you, then you're ready for the next step. Comment below with one thing you're going to start living from the end of. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. The world needs more conscious creators, more people who understand that reality is malleable and that consciousness is the only true power. And remember, you're not learning to manifest. You're remembering that you already are manifesting. The question is, what are you choosing to create? The power is within you. It always has been. Now it's time to use it consciously, deliberately, and with the full knowledge that you are the god of your own world. Your new life begins the moment you assume it already exists. What are you waiting for?
Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess, shaping the world around you with every thought you entertain. The key to unlocking your potential lies in keeping your focus on what you desire rather than dwelling on what you do not want. Every thought carries energy, and what you repeatedly imagine in your mind becomes your reality. When you constantly worry about failure, you align yourself with failure. But when you fill your mind with success, abundance, and joy, your world begins to reflect those states. You are the creator of your experience, and your assumptions dictate the life you lead. Train yourself to see only the outcomes you wish to experience, for your attention determines your direction. The images you hold in your mind become the blueprint of your life. If you truly desire transformation, you must discipline your thoughts to remain steadfast on your dreams. The mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant will eventually grow. If you sow thoughts of abundance, love, and success, your external world will reflect the same. Doubt, fear, and worry act like weeds, choking the growth of your desired manifestations. It is not enough to merely wish for good things. You must persistently think in alignment with them. The universe is not selective. It simply mirrors back the dominant impressions you hold. Change your inner conversation and make it a habit to dwell on what you want. When you see yourself as already having achieved your desires, you create a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The secret is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live from that state. Reality conforms to your inner convictions, making it essential to guard your mental state. By choosing thoughts that serve your highest good, you move effortlessly toward the fulfillment of your dreams. Your imagination is the most potent force you can wield, shaping your destiny with precision. If you can see yourself living your desired life in your mind's eye, you have already set the wheels in motion. Imagination is not a mere escape. It is the very tool by which reality is constructed. Do not be misled by appearances, for they are simply past thoughts solidified into form. If you wish to change your circumstances, begin by altering the inner narrative you entertain. Speak as though you already possess all that you seek, and your world will rearrange itself accordingly. Every moment is an opportunity to redirect your focus toward your ideal reality. The more vividly you can imagine yourself embodying your dreams, the faster they materialize. Embrace the feeling of already being the person you aspire to be, and the world will mold itself to match. The mind and the outer world are one. Transform your thoughts, and your life must follow suit. Your assumptions harden into fact, becoming the very foundation upon which your life is built. Everything you persistently assume to be true eventually manifests in your world. It is not a question of whether this principle works. It is always in operation. The only choice you have is what to assume. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your external reality is a reflection of your dominant state of being. If you desire wealth, embody the feeling of abundance before any tangible evidence appears. If you seek love, become the embodiment of love itself. The key is to think from the end, assuming the identity of the person who already possesses everything they desire. When you change your inner state, your world shifts to accommodate it. Feelings of lack and frustration only serve to perpetuate unwanted circumstances. To move into a new reality, you must first claim it internally. You do not need permission from the external world to change. Transformation begins within. The more unwavering you are in your assumption of having what you desire, the faster it will manifest. The world is a mirror. and your assumptions are the reflections you see. Choose to see only that which serves your highest vision, and reality will follow suit. Persistence is the golden key to unlocking any desire. The mind is easily swayed by present conditions, but you must remain faithful to your vision, regardless of appearances. Do not allow temporary obstacles to dictate your state of mind. When you persist in assuming the feeling of already having what you seek, reality bends to match your assumption. Your current circumstances are nothing more than the remnants of past thoughts. They hold no power over what you create next. It is through unwavering faith in your desired outcome that you bring it to fruition. Do not waver in your assumption. Live as if your wish has already been granted. The universe does not operate on chance. It is governed by the certainty of your beliefs. The moment you fully accept your desire as a present fact, the process of its manifestation begins. Doubt is the only thing that can delay or derail your progress. Let your assumptions be immovable, and your life will transform accordingly. Each thought you nurture is a step toward either the fulfillment of your dreams or the perpetuation of your current state. Your focus determines your fate. If you allow distractions and fears to dominate your mind, they will dictate your reality. But if you train yourself to concentrate solely on the life you wish to create, it must unfold before you. There is no power greater than your ability to assume the feeling of already having what you desire. Assume the best, and it will become your experience. Train yourself to think only in alignment with your vision, eliminating all that contradicts it. Your mind is the architect of your destiny, shaping every detail of your world. The key is to remain steadfast in your assumptions, never allowing external circumstances to dictate your internal state. Reality is fluid, responding to your dominant thoughts and beliefs. Take control of your mind, and you take control of your life. And that's it for the day. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.